No, I'm just joking. That's fine. They've heard worse. Um, we close in on the city gripped both by the winter and the White Plague. It has been several days since the first outbreaks of the plague have happened, and sequentially over the past few days, the assembly has been forced to take more and more direct action than it was ever really expected that the assembly would be taking. That's everything from quarantining zones and requiring papers to pass from like one district over into the next. That has been requiring certain protections that are believed to help with sickness, such as plague masks and stuff like that, be distributed to the guards who are managing those intersections. Um, and most recently, it has come with, in any other circumstance, what would have been considered one of the most like authoritarian and dictatorial actions Logan Seeger has ever taken, which was sending the guard to seize basically all of the raw foodstuffs in the city, and move them not to a single central location because one, there wasn't any place that could hold all of it, and two, it required several locations to for safety. It was better to distribute it to multiple in case one of them uh, had rot or incidents of plague or whatnot. Um, all of the like food producing restaurants and pubs and everything like that have been, because they have the necessary tools to cook for many people to kind of cook at scale better than like a home kitchen. That's been being used for each different district to distribute food in that way, to make what's food there stretch the longest and to make sure that starvation is minimized. Um, the initial like Gav had made a significant debt in like paying for food himself effectively via labor and stuff like that. That process has begun to be applied across different districts, and each of the assembly people have been taking on relatively large loans themselves to assist with their own districts in a similar fashion. Although Gav's is probably the most disproportionately large because his district is still relatively poor and mostly makes it up by volume of people. Does that make sense? So for the others, there might be a richer district per capita, but that still is they require less food. Um, it's it was an action that was suggested like to Logan that basically the assembly ultimately talked him into um, as from the understanding that Runa and Honorine have and the knowledge of the White Plague, which has struck like multiple times before, um, travel and crossing districts is one of the most certain ways to make it spread. And there were almost immediate, like violent outbursts from people within districts who didn't recognize people that came from other districts. So it was becoming an issue of like, if we don't know you, then we think you might be a plague bearer. Um, so in the midst of that, Gav is finding himself with, he's had word, along with others, that Rosa has caught sick herself. There are
Gav's going to
multiple,
be on the opposite side of the city because she's in the Draken nest.
uh, well, her residence now is in Feinerhart.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, because she moved down there to set up her new shop.
Oh, right.
So she's been down there for some time. Um, so Uh, and I imagine, like, the one relief is that Hannelore, not a super going outside person. And so, and like there's been a couple of like the kids from the gang and stuff like that enough that they knew that they could house that have kind of just like moved into the Hall of Records, but they're being kept like confined there.
Hmm.
Does that make sense? The would-be orphanage that had been going up has also been temporarily converted into like hospital quarters. And the largest when people are for certain sick, They're being taken to the uh, the Philosopher's Stone and Redmond Earhart's former residence, which has been like fully converted over. Um, which just as a side question before I forget, Rosa has the option to be at home or to be at that hospital. It's her choice.
Quarantining alone.
Okay.
I think Gab would probably make regular visits to Rosa just with hot food or something.
Yeah, I think Hannelore has been cooking quite a bit like on her behalf. And there have been a number of people in the city. There's like 30 total that have been identified as like we can visibly see the scars of like white plague on them, so we know they've had it and they're fine.
Hmm.
Um, and they're kind of being used occasionally for like runners and people who can actually go in and check on somebody without any fear of something themselves. But they still have to kind of like do the same plague precautions because there's every concern that they might carry it with them. There's no understanding of like germ theory, but
Mm.
there is belief that like certain airs can be bad. That's why the plague masks were worn, and like that you might carry that bad air with you, like it might cling to you. Um, so uh, and what I'm looking for at this point is a general idea of kind of like what is Gav trying to do with his time besides check on Rosa, but like it's something that's gripping the city as a whole. Um, and there are definite like you he's certain that they're in the space of time before it's gonna get worse. Like most people right now are symptomatic, but there's not a lot of people like dropping dead yet.
Um, Honestly, between assembly work, um, trying to get work, because I guess if Hannelore is getting food to Rosa, then she's currently living in Finer Hearth.
It is
Um,
across the bridge. It's probably more a matter. I was thinking more that she just gave it to Gav, and Gav was the one who made sure that it got to her.
okay.
Not necessarily that
Well, I
she was
mean,
delivering it
just
herself.
in terms of moving across districts,
Yeah.
but
Um,
Gav is, sneaky, surprisingly
well,
sneaky.
and there are a couple of different ways that like certain things are being
Mhm.
delivered and stuff like that. There's just precautions and extra costs, and like
Yeah,
everything is happening at a snail's pace by comparison to how most of these businesses normally run.
but yeah.
It's very
Um,
strange to like see the rivers empty, to see the bridges empty, like entirely kind of controlled by checkpoints and
mhm. I think, yeah, between work at the assembly, keeping check on his friends still, he's gonna do that. He's going back into the sewers and he's um trying to find any kind of evidence of the Verschlingen that may still be down there, because even though there was no lair left in the first one, something brought the plague here. So he's
um,
going down full mask, uh, mucking.
the I want you to make a uh city guide, like your city knowledge roll,
Hmm.
along with your wits.
What do I have? Oh, no, +5. Okay. 43.
Okay. So the 43 is enough that he is certain that there is no Verschlingen here anymore. Does that make sense? Like he's gone to enough deep dark holes. He knows, like, he also knows now that there are caverns like under the city, and it's impossible to rule out that there might be one like all the way down there in some yet undiscovered cavern. But that's potentially miles of exploration, and
That would take
um,
years.
yeah. Um, but he can trust that if it was making regular trips back into the city, it would be leaving some kind of a path. Does
Hmm.
that make sense? And he can't find any place that's marked with that that seems to have like an unusual amount of like the mushrooms or any of like the fungi and molds that grow up around their passing. And
So it's in despair.
the key thing is that um the water sources throughout the city are still like viable as he's kind of going from place to place and checking all of the places that he knows to be good sources of water. Like at one point he's like literally cross-referencing with like the hall records of like every single like where every single point of water connects, since that's all on record, and has
Hmm.
even started to go and check like wells to make sure that there aren't any like small wells that people have set up in their backyard or something like that that like connect to some tiny aquifer in the midst of like the rest of it. And there isn't anything like that. He's actually been able to confirm and sort of like cross-reference. Yep, this water source goes to this one. I can see where the pipes are. This one connects. Like he's doing
They're
a lot more
all
to actually
clean.
verify things that have been on paper, but now have like physically been like examined and like
Hmm.
that he can like check off of a list. Um,
Well, at least Hannelore will be happy about, knowing that her information's still accurate.
it might be vital at some point in the future to know all of those things are
Hmm.
true. Um, and it's also really vital because he's got like with because the 40s is a really exceptional success. He also knows like which waterways can be like blocked off from other ones. So like if there is something that one of them got contaminated, he could like on a quick basis go down and lock it off and it would remain just in that one contaminated area. And
Okay.
since these are like theories that are very common with the current understanding of medicine, like that waterways
Hmm.
can become corrupted and stuff like that, this is all like vital potentially. But what he's not discovering is that the Verschlingen necessarily have any connection to the plague coming in.
So it's a different. This somewhat contradicts our information that, well, not contradicts, but we found mushrooms in despair,
Yes.
and we thought that that was coming from
You found
the city.
mushrooms in the city itself and in despair.
Okay, so there's no Verschlingen.
There were more Verschlingen that were definitely birthed here, but they left.
Okay, so we're dealing with after effects. Um,
Possibly, or it's possible that the White Plague itself has a different source, and it is once
mm,
again part of that sort of ripple of calamity that seems to be following Rowan. Does that make sense? And one disaster is being mistaken as causative of another.
yeah. So nothing along the route that the Knight of the Rosencross took. Like we double checked that. Gav's going to do something he doesn't like doing, and he's going to leave the city for a bit. He's going to tell Anilor, and he's going to tell Gerard and Hans first, because, as the marshal and um, guard captain of his district, you know. Um, but other than that, I forgot I'm on the wrong mic. But let's just
We can pay,
okay.
I can hear you just fine. So let
Yeah,
me
just
say,
I just realized I was on the wrong mic. Um, but yeah,
so
he's
so let me
gonna
remind there were two things that he was going to do imminently, which might be affected by him leaving the city. One is he was going to go back and check with the Explorer Society after they'd had some time
right.
to like read and catch up on stuff.
It's been
Um,
2 weeks. I forgot. Completely forgot.
yeah, no, that's I literally like I usually watch the last episode before like right
Mhm.
before we start again because there are a lot of things that it's easy to slip. So, And he does see like the aftermath of kind of like there's a small bounty that's been put up for like, these mushrooms. And like all of they have like the symbol of like this is highly toxic and dangerous. So that even those who don't read it know that like we're
Mhm.
not putting bounties on it as food.
Yeah.
Um,
Food mushrooms are boring, brown and white. These mushrooms are not. You may not know the name for the colors you're seeing.
but the all of the places that he had discovered them previously stripped completely clean. Signs have been put up, you know what I'm saying,
Mhm.
saying if you see any more of these spores, these mushrooms,
Is there
um,
residual, like, is cleaning out the mushrooms helping?
um,
Or is the area still lingering befouled?
uh, so turning the soil, and like a couple of like things that are frequently used for like crops and stuff like that for seem to help some areas and not others. It's probably so the thing is like there's nothing that's been universally applied to every single one. Everybody's sort of treated it differently. Some things seem to have worked, some things seem not to have. There's probably scientific papers that could be written on the different methods for like soil treatment. Does that make sense? But it's probably all a little bit beyond GAF.
Okay.
But he does know
The
it's not coming back here, it's not coming back there. I've got tiny little buds over here. And they've all probably been treated by whoever was in their area, which is like there's different alchemists throughout each of
Yeah,
the districts. So
everyone's got their own method.
yeah, and some were definitely more effective than others.
Mhm.
Um, what he does know is that the area that was in Riverfront was actually a Tory volunteered to treat, and there is no signs of the mushrooms growing back anywhere there.
I'd ask what you were using, but I'm afraid to know the answer.
Uh, if he's stopping by a Tories and asking, he says, my family's weed killer. The
Players, like, I'm sure there's other like connotations behind what's considered a weed to a Vitachi poisoner, but
um, but he says if you want, I can share that recipe with the other alchemists.
it would be most appreciated if this I have seen firsthand what it does. These mushrooms are dangerous.
He says, how are things going with the rest of the I can't get far without walking into a checkpoint.
Uh, it has been difficult. People are scared, turning on people they don't know, which in a city the size of Freiburg is a lot of people, and everyone is scared.
He nods. He says,
It's
it
not
is
like
a
when
lot
it
of
was during the
people.
war.
He says, but I do see things that I would not see in Vadachi. He says, I see people feeding their neighbors. There's more community here than you might think.
Those bonds will be tested in the coming months. I worry.
He nods. He says, are all of you and yours healthy and well?
Hannelore is busy and fussing, but her and the children are healthy.
Um, he says, whoever is after me seems to have decided to skip the city, he says, with plague. Apparently, I'm not worth
Discretion
that
and
kind of a
valor,
risk.
da. Like discretion and valor, da.
He nods. Um,
And he's like, "Have you heard about Rosa?
he shakes his head.
Uh, we, she has come down with the plague and is sequestered in her home.
He says in a powerful stagger.
I have never seen Len so worried."
He he nods in
Oh,
understanding.
right,
And
he doesn't know.
yeah,
Fuck.
yeah,
Take that
Len's
out. Um, I've never seen her so alone.
Um, yeah, he looks pretty thoughtful and um he goes back into his like the shop part of his building. Then he comes back with a small it's just like a like the coins that they have for like saints in the Catholic Church. Like
Hmm.
he says, I know things aren't supposed to travel across lines, he says, but this is clean. Says, get this to her.
I was going to head back down there later anyways. Hannelore was making stew today.
Um, he smiles and he says, I am fortunate that most of Village cuisine says pasta is very filling and easy to make.
The stew will keep her bones warm, da.
Nuts. Um, so one of the few council members who is totally able to travel freely is Dr. Leiber. Not because he's a doctor, because he's a doctor who also has had the White Plague. Like he is literally just like, no, I'm fine. Um, and so he's been doing a lot of like sort of like coordinating things between different areas and stuff like that. He's been taking, precautions to keep from spreading and stuff like that, but he's been trustworthy to like kind of deliver things as requested. And right now he's probably racking up reputation points every day because he's like just showing up for people as needed and sometimes spending a few minutes and sitting with them and like just giving them some human contact, which he's done a few times with Rosa. So, um, so Gav still planning on like leaving the city, or is he planning to go talk to the Explorer Society?
He's gonna go to the Explorers Society. He's been I think both player and character have been reamed out enough times about just going off somewhere.
Um, the Explorer Society has kind of taken the measure of mostly like locking themselves in together. There's a
Mhm.
lot of beds in the Explorer Society. It's designed to house a lot of like vagrant people passing through because many of the members of the Explorer Society are constantly traveling. And most of those who are like just more patrons of the Explorer Society as opposed to actual members, they've got their own nicer houses in the city, so they're not here. So it's like it's sort of a scientists and explorers all locked into a building together with nothing to do but go through books. Um, and Dubicet has kind of like put out the task of like find anything related to these creatures that we can on other islands in the past, in Sinnerth ruins, et cetera, et cetera. Which has been, and also in the process, like using all of these people to sort of catalog their resources in a better way and say, okay, if it's not that, do make a small list of what is in this book so that we can reference it and put it into a file system and whatnot, and don't have to go through this hoop again. Um, they're kind of gathered around what is believed to be like one of the last Draken eggs as like a fossil. Um, although Gav, now having seen like the remains of a Draken after Runa was dug out of like the caves of one, and a general understanding of anatomy, thinks that this egg is too large to be an egg for those Draken. Um, as it's like taller than Gav is.
Hmm. Bison knows exactly, what kind of Draken that's for. It's one of the bigger ones. Um, I think honestly, I think Gav would probably keep that bit to himself. We've got enough crises to worry about right now. Um, a potential freaking, you know, I'm hopefully we're not going to have a Targaryen moment and three freaking dragons show up. Yeah, he's honestly more concerned about the more imminent threats to Freiburg.
Um, so I want to have this is going to be kind of a strange role in the midst of all of this, but this is a wit's role plus his criminal skill that is much more about like sort of things he's pieced together about the Explorer Society that over the past like while of like working with them regularly during this and kind of falling upon them to do what they're actually there to do.
Mhm. That is 23.
Um, so Gav doesn't know the Explorer Society and Upper Society and stuff as much as he knows crime. And there are
Okay.
definitely a few members of the Explorer Society that have for some time been selling smaller artifacts like to the nobles who patron them. Does that make
And I
sense?
mean, and Gav also knows sort of the a little bit of the trade through Geralt.
Well, and Geralt has specifically distanced himself from the Explorer Society, but
I remember the comment he made.
one of the things that Gav has definitely figured out is that as far as Cernith artifacts are concerned, there is a trade war that is between the Explorer Society and the Vidachi in trying to acquire them. And the Explorer Society is really sort of propped up by the Vendel.
Mhm.
He's figured that out like over the course of time. They're definitely not like an extension of the Vendel government or anything like that, but like their largest contributors are the Vendel.
Mm.
And um
The two big
both
merchant empires doing their thing.
yeah, yeah, as they are the financial powers, but the realization that like uh this is sort of like an ongoing thing that's going on in the background definitely just has some new light as far as everything that he now knows about like the ability to travel through the portal beneath the city and into other realms and the possible role of the Cernith and all of this. Um, so I think I just wanted to like throw that in as like the Explorer Society is not this sort of just neutral magical scientific
Mhm.
organization. It is
Yeah, it's
just
not a
as
bunch of
much in the
it's not a bunch of stuffy nerds who like to stab monsters.
well,
There
so the
is a
thing
little
is
bit more to it because it I mean, a part of it is publish or perish, but I mean, like those expeditions, they get expensive. I mean, how many
they
men
get
died with
funded.
Roland
Yeah.
Fish Forsher?
Yeah, and there's plenty of organizations that have involved like a galleon and, an enormous crew and stuff like that, and they've just never returned. Those are expenditures that are like in the tens of thousands of guilder. So, but I mean, for the most part, it is a bunch of nerds who and other people who like to stuff
It can
stab
be two
monsters.
things.
And you would say that most of them are probably completely oblivious to what a few of their members are doing. Does that make sense? And his assessment is also that while Madeline Bissett is aware of it, she doesn't condone it, but she also sort of thinks that's necessary for the Explorer Society to continue. Because
Mhm.
these men are continuing to patron the Explorer Society in return for that occasional small kickback that they view as part of their membership. Does that make
Mhm.
sense?
Yep.
But there are things that she's definitely like made a point of like, yeah, that's not we're
Mhm.
keeping that in the very secure vault. Does that make sense? Um, the uh the member of the Explorer Society who had kind of had you drawing up like the different botanicals as he referred to them from Verschlingen. Um he he's like very excited that they seem to have like he's catching Gab up at like a mile a minute of that they don't seem to have found any other incidences yet, but the alchemists in the city are extremely interested in their properties, and so if they can find any more sources of them, that could be a potentially lucrative trade. Um, but nothing that they have yet discovered coming from them is of potential use in remedying the White Plague, which is kind of further evidence, at least from Gav's understanding, that like
It's
the
two
White Plague
separate
is
problems.
not related to the Verschlingen.
Yeah. Which is somewhat helpful in so much that um it does multiply the number of problems we have by two, but it also means we don't have to necessarily be as concerned about catching the White Plague while hunting the Verschlingen.
That's true. Um, the and they're going through some of them have like found different texts on what they believe to be uh a similar disease that spread in Crescent Lands but had a different name. So at first they didn't connect that it might actually be the same thing because the Crescents didn't call it White Plague.
Well, of course.
Um, they called it the Prophet's Curse. But Bissett kind of like opens up that particular book and like is pointing to the passages and is like, these are all in Crescent that is 200 years old, and language changes rapidly. So we need somebody with a bit more expertise in regards to the language than we presently have here. Everyone we have that speaks Crescent speaks the sailor's pidgin version of it.
He thinks, and he's like, um, Honoring Seistuseis, a member of the council, has been studying Crescent recently. I would assume her academic pursuits would produce a more understandable version. That?
Um, and this is a quick question over to Honorine. Has Honorine been largely staying at her home, or has she largely been working like at the hospital?
She's been avoiding the hospital and working at home.
Aware that she is herself very vulnerable to catching it.
Yeah, although I don't think she's actually at home. I think she's where the books are. So
So the majority of the books are actually probably in the like on the name, in the playground, in the academy that she's begun to teach at.
so
So,
neither home nor at the hospital.
okay. Um, they're like, if she thinks she'll have better luck with it, we would not mind loaning it to her.
I will make the necessary arrangements.
Um, and as you know, he takes the book and the egg that is in like the center of the Explorer Society begins to shake. And there's sort of an immediate like, noise from like everyone around. They like start looking at all the walls to see if it's like an earthquake kind of thing. There's one person that like immediately starts leaning towards it, and one of the shield men of the Explorer Society just instinctively like pulls him away. Like with the speed of it is my entire job to keep scientists from sticking their nose into things that are about to kill them.
Rude.
Kind of a reflex.
um, Gav himself, like he's adaptable. Things don't really surprise him, but he still jumps like a cat, like
Um,
a full foot and a half in the air.
and like suddenly the shell of the egg turns prismatic. Like it's like looking through a screen into what's inside, but what's inside is the like face of a Draken that's pressed up close against it. It sort of fills the entirety of it, but all of the colors that are around it look like you're looking at it as if all the colors were inverted. Does that make sense? Like when you take a photo and you reverse it.
The
So
negative.
yeah,
It's like
thanks.
cyan and magenta and all that weird shit.
Yeah, and there are like little trails of like prismatic color that kind of follow it as it moves. And it speaks and the rumble of its voice like seems to shake the building. And the first like things it speaks are kind of like not understandable, and then there's like a doom, 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 and the entire thing seems to shake. And from visibly, Gab can see it looks like he's tapping the egg from the inside, but the effect of it is like practically shaking the whole building. Um, and then it leans in again, and this time in perfect Eisen says, "I bear a message for Rosa and Len. Are they available? I can wait."
Oh, moi.
And we'll drop the cold open curtain there. um, and we'll move into our introduction. Um, I was trying to avoid traumatizing anybody for a little bit, since we've still got Rosa on ice. Let me say, thank you everyone, and welcome to the Shadow of the Wachtturm. Our producer tonight is one of the moderators of Dirty 20 Gaming, the delightful and compassionate Gloriosa. Our lore master for the series is the beautiful and benevolent Syndra. Before we get started, I wanted to give a content warning. While the spirit of Seven Sea is swashbuckling adventure and shadowy intrigue, and when Gav is on screen, sometimes suplexes, the story will deal with mature themes, including death, loss, suicide, and grief. Eisen, our setting, is recovering from a 30-year civil war over religious differences. It may get dark sometimes, and there's no shame in bowing out if it's not a place your head can go at the moment. So without further ado, I'm going to have our savvy swashbucklers introduce themselves, starting with Gav.
Hello, I am Bison _ Stonefist. Tonight I am playing Gav the Grin, our sewer surf and suplex machine. Local cream of the crop, rises to the top. And yeah, oh yeah. Um, excuse me. Uh, I am here a lot. I'm here 4.5 nights a week. Tonight I'm playing Gav. Tomorrow afternoon, I am playing Bofades Caridia, a humble servant of Hephaestus, in Pandora's Gift, the Suncast. It's two shows, same story, different crews. It's really interesting because we're kind of telling the same story, but we're really not. On Tuesdays in Rise of the Temple, I play Gashbag der Bogork, our druid and healer. And I'm sorry for anybody who needs his healing. Things are going to get weird. On this Wednesday, we're going to be introducing my character for the Humbled Heart. His name is Jasper Robson, and he's just a nice guy. That's a Humblewood campaign run by the lovely Hellhounds 20. And on Thursdays for Deviant Paradox, I am Garrett Sakes, our resident emo kid and demisexual disaster child. Other than that, you can occasionally find me playing Call of Duty Black Ops 7 Warzone with Nate Cat Gold Chain live on his channel when we're not doing stuff here. And yeah, that's all I do. So let's take it to Hans.
Hey everybody, my name is Rory. A pleasure to be here as always. Tonight I am playing everyone's favorite sprinting, slashing soldier boy, the deposed imperator Hans Reifenstahl himself.
You
can find me
have not been
in a
deposed
couple
yet.
other games.
You have to be crowned before you can be deposed.
That's true. Actually, he's just been dead.
He's the prince that was promised.
That is very true. That is a good point. I'm also in a couple other games now, a few other games. You can find me in the Pandora's Gifts Mooncast, the nighttime cast, playing Esker Valus, a very, very small rogue. I'm also in Rise of the Temple, run by the amazing True Shadowmancer, playing Ashek, one of the two twin monk cat people. We're just getting started on that adventure, so tune in. There's not a whole lot to catch up on. It's very exciting. And I'm also, 4 in a row some weeks, I'm in the other Wednesday game, Oracle Force, a wonderful Masks: A New Generation game run by the Scarred Adventurer, playing Graviton, the physics defying, gravity manipulating angsty teenager. So that's fun. That aside, I'm doing stuff. I'm working on things. Nothing even remotely close enough to talk about yet. So I'm just gonna hot potato it onto pick a random person on Zoom. Len.
Hi, folks. It's me, your friendly neighborhood Bat Kyle. You can find me tonight, of course, playing Len Corruptomatic Costin, who is currently owling and unaware that his baby mama is sick, and he's really going to be annoyed about that when he gets back. You can also find me on Fridays running our Everyday Divinity campaign, Scion Second Edition, which is, I originally said, yeah, this doesn't need to be horror, and I leaned right into the horror, and somehow it's working out so far. I am traumatizing my cast, and that's the important part.
So good.
If you have never heard a description of a leech wearing a human as a suit, you should absolutely go back and watch the last few episodes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Besides that, you can find me in the cast chats of most of the games that you've heard mentioned here when I have the time, being a total menace and trying to break who I can. You can also find me in the Discord, one of the most wonderful, warm, and welcoming places I've ever been. Also being a total menace and trying to break people when I can, especially with unhinged food memes. And besides that, you can't really find me anywhere else because I don't want to have a presence on social media. So with that said, over to Shadow.
If I can learn how to unmute myself. Hello and bonjour, everybody. I am Shadow, also known as the True Shadowmancer. Tonight I am playing Gerard Saint Domain Dupont, resident swordsman and bearer of vendettas. On Tuesdays, I am the DM for Rise of the Temple, a D&D 5.5 game set in the world of Sosora, which is of my creation, which several of our excellent cast members here are playing in. We're only 2 sessions in, so as mentioned, not much yet to catch up on, a lot to go. So we'll see how our intrepid group fares in the future. Every other Wednesday, you'll find me in the Heartwood game playing Alan Tiberius Miller, a Mapak bard of some renown and much robustness. Let's see, and outside of that, you'll find me hanging out in the Discord for Dirty 20 Gaming, as well as the Desperate Dice Rollers channel, of which I am a founding member. So come on by, say hello. We've got some great games going on there as well. And yeah, that's about it. I have no life right now, so I will now pass it on to Rosa.
Of course, the minute I'm not paying attention. Hey all, my name is Sarah. I go by Sans on the Discord. I am on this channel 5.5 nights a week. I am here tonight as Rose and Nyx. I have no brain cells. Sorry, I just got really distracted by Glorios. Our Monday game, Pandora's Gifts Nightcast. I play Clarity Palace, the best healer ever. Hoping to come back this week. For the Tuesday game, Rise of the Temple, I play Aiko of House Wolf, a bard of very little charisma, apparently. Didn't expect her to play that way. The every other night for Mask Orc Force, I play Nightwish. Somehow I'm the leader. I still don't
No one
know.
else wants it. No one else
Yeah,
wants
that's exactly it. That's exactly it. Our Thursday City of Mist campaign, I am the DM of the Chaos on Deviant Paradox. Come and watch. It's gonna be way too much fun. Coming back next week. And yeah, Friday, our Everyday Divinity game, I play Alexandria. Oh, I built this character to not break.
Tell her how to
And
say
she's
it,
a
Bison.
Well, wait. She has to. We have to see how she does first.
I just skipped over it. Why would you do that to me? Melanoe?
You picked it.
I did. It's my fault.
Almost. Oh, Melanui.
Melanoe. I'm learning it.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's my fault too. He wanted to go with Nyx. I said no because I have Rosamund Nixon this night. And I couldn't have a character with the same last name because it would have messed me up. Other than that, you can find me over on Tango Productions, working with the Scarred Adventure and Wallpaper Fox on stuff and things that'll come out eventually. Let me put my links in there. And then I can disappear from the Twitch so that I don't glitch out. Let's give it over to Honorine.
Hello. I am Blaze of Gloriosa, also known around here as Glory or Honoring. Or sometimes I've conditioned Sarah to pay attention to me on Zoom no matter what. I produce on this channel 2 nights a week on alternate Wednesdays for Masks: A New Generation, Game Oracle Force, not this Wednesday, but next Wednesday, and on Thursdays for our City of Mist campaign, Deviant Paradox, GM'd by Sarah. You can catch me in front of the camera 1 night a week on my own channel. Right now I'm streaming Grounded, which apparently is extremely entertaining the more I run into spiders and high places. I'm very short. I'm not used to high places, so even in games I'm like, it's high. Tonight I'm here as Honoring. Can't be a Doom Herald if she keeps the Doom to herself, but apparently it got out anyway. Cease to cease. Because she didn't share the White Plague thing. People just knew. So anyway,
It's a little obvious once it comes out.
maybe I assume that like what happened was like it was one of those things where like people independently make discoveries. Like like 2 people discovered things at once in science all the time. Anyway, that's me. I think we've covered everybody. Ruth?
Not me.
You haven't gone?
No.
So go.
You
Okay.
almost got away with it.
I was just like, I don't need to be sneaky. Hi, I'm Ruth. You found me. I am here on Monday in the Pandora's Gift Suncast as Xenon Alkaitis, Cleric of Nyx. Tuesday is in Rise of the Temple as Ish. The second half of the Cat Twin Monks. Alternate Wednesdays in our Oracle Force game as Trek. Other physics-based bullshit and Ball of Anxiety. Thursdays as Nora. When Will the Horrors End? Avalon in Deviant Paradox. A Friday as Juliet, Nice Witch Lady Fairchild in our Everyday Divinity game. And you have found me today as Rin Ingvild's daughter. And I think she's pretty cool. So back to our CSA.
I love, by the way, that we now have this progression. Like watching Oracle Force, I think Scarred's GMing style is very much a form of like controlled madness, which then goes into like Zanz's like absolute chaos as a feature. And then Batkyle's horror. And then apparently this game has been determined like the trauma game. So, that's like a whole progression there.
And then Kevin, just completely ruins it on Monday with a bunch of stupid shit.
He starts us over with whimsy. So
Yeah, exactly.
The Monday reset.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's the
Palette cleanser, if you will.
He's the palate cleanser, so we don't get like into a darkness spiral.
Well, and then I started over again on Tuesday, so
Gazbag's got enough fart jokes to tamper with that.
All right. So
I'd
in
like-
the In the ancient days of Numa, the great storyteller and philosopher Ceres the Wiser once noted that an adventure can begin only in one of three ways: by death, by slur, or by letter. To begin without one of these incitements is folly, the debacle best described as an indiscretion, a dalliance, an escapade. But fear not, we begin tonight, properly girded, with a death, the most inescapable of the three, and thus the most powerful. And this death is one that happens relatively quietly in the hospital that has been set up for the patients of the White Plague. It's one of the many soldiers that served with Montague. He lifts a hand. He asks for water, but as the nurses kind of like move in between different patients, they can't hear his weakened voice. And his hand falls and his eyes close, and his death isn't discovered for hours. But it still sets off a ripple. There's still word that slowly spreads through the city. There was every possibility that the Knight of the Rosencross who died, it might have been something he contracted in his travels. It might have been, something unexpected. Maybe this isn't the White Plague. Maybe this is just something else that looks a lot like it. But with the first death, that hope dies. Panic has not yet set in. People are still in a place where they're bartering, where they think that they might be immune, or that it might pass them by, or that their loved ones are going to pull through and survive. But those who have survived plagues before, as near everybody who's reached the age of majority in this era has, in some way or another, of varying severity, know that that is not how they work. So our camera is shifting over to Rosa, who is the way that White Plague affects those who have sorcery and those who do not is different. For Rosa, it is a constant sort of battle to determine like what's real and what's not. So for her, it's like 3 days in which she's been speaking with her grandmother, or not grandmother, but grandma, as though she were somebody in the room. Does that make sense? There's times where she's had moments of lucidity and she's looked up and she's realized that like the Dr. Lieber is the one who's been helping her get food. But other times she kind of comes to and it seems like grandma is the one who's feeding her and tucking her in and feeding her soup and doing things that like seem really out of characteristic for this woman. Does that make sense? Like kind of singing to her softly, like crocheting in a sitting in a rocking chair next to her. And there are other times where she's had moments where she realizes that like it is actually something happening in the world. Like she's got a sense that like what she's experiencing isn't wholly real, but sometimes things cut into it. Sometimes she hears, like crying out of the streets. And the night before she had heard one of the girls from the Jenny house singing one of the pieces from the last opera that the Bear House put on. Just sort of like she wasn't a great singer. She's a little off key. Most of the singers at the Bear House are not particularly good singers. Like nobody comes because they're the best operatos in the city or anything like that. But like there was a familiarity to it that sort of cut through the strangeness of being tended to by this woman. Does that make sense? So the other part of it is that the rolls that you are going to be making to survive White Plague are directly impacted by the degree of skill you have as a sorcerer in a bad way. The more magical you are, the more skilled you are, the more danger you're in.
Way to go, Gandalf.
You don't understand.
Oh no, I do. I
Yes.
know where you've been putting your points.
I used my experience before session. More sorcery points.
Not on defense.
I thought you used
and
it on
defense.
Oh.
I
She
used
did
it
buy
both.
defense.
I did.
She,
I did both. I had enough.
she did
Listen
buy
to me.
defense,
No,
but she
look
also
at me.
she also maxed out her sorcery.
Hang on. So you have a plague that affects magic users disproportionately, and you thought the time to use your experience, which you never do, the time to use your experience to up your sorcery.
I already have malaria, and I'm going to drink this water I found in a tire in a ditch by the side of the road. This is the best thing that could happen.
No possible problems.
No.
So
Anyway, sorry, please
quick
carry
pause.
on.
Quick
Please.
pause. There are moments where Rosa could swear that she's hearing her sister and her fiance yelling at her in this. You know what I'm saying? The things that they say don't always make sense, but they seem to be, like, why would you make this choice? Why would you do that? And given Rosa's very natural state of, I would say guilt prone. I think it's pretty easy for her to internalize that. Is that about right?
Oh yeah. There are just absolutely, I would say, days that Rosa has just spent in bed, not moving.
And as we cut in on her, it's not actually a day that she's in bed. It's a day she probably should be in bed, but there's a bit of delirium that has brought her up onto the roof of her little house. It has an attic. We've established that because people robbed it. But she does have from the attic an area to a small window that allows her to sort of look out and over everything. And as she looks out over the city for the first time in a while, she's so hot, and the cold air and the snow and whatnot, it just feels I want her to make a quick resolve roll, and any kind of nobility skill or it will be fine with this. Because this is sort of just a self-restraint of I should keep my clothes on outside in the snow.
Okay, resolve plus noble.
Say that again. Yeah, noble works.
Resolve plus noble.
Uh,
Oops. 74. 36.
Oh, at first I thought you said 74, and I was like, I didn't see that roll. Why don't I see that roll?
Yeah, so there's the first instinct is sort of she's starting to loosen the corset, wants to get more of the cold air on her and stuff like that. And then suddenly she's like a little child, and it's not Cardinal Siose, it's another one of the priests from the Vatican Church that she remembers that's lecturing her about the visibility of her ankles in her dress, and that she is strega and she is not permitted to show skin, and she's once again like a small child, you know what I'm saying? But then she's back on the balcony. There's sort of a moment of lucidity. She realizes what it was she was about to do. And then as she looks out over the city, she realizes that she's seeing everybody's strands as she's looking. She's not her eyes are pure black, and she's looking constantly with her vision, and she doesn't know how long it's been since she stopped looking that way because she's been alone. So with that, I'd like you to roll your resolve and your brand new death strand at 5.
34.
Okay.
With one
Yes.
explosion.
And that's fine because this is just a viewing. But what she sees is that the death strands over the city, they are making a spider web. They're making a spider web that's center is in the tower, and the very lines of it that go out and run and interact with each other, she can see it's no accident. It's perfect. Those who are going to die are dying as part of a plan, and she can see all around her well, not all around her, but she can see in the distance the unraveled that are here in the city, traveling down those lines, reinforcing them, moving and connecting them. And as she looks at the tower that is impregnable, the tower that's indestructible, she also knows one thing that has been repeated to her over and over and over since she was a child, that nothing can escape fate.
Mhm. Yep, and she wants to go warn people, but she's not supposed to travel because she's sick. Oh, yeah, okay, she's writing a letter. Next person she sees, she just needs them to get the information out.
I would like you to
To
make a resolve roll, and this is the one that is actually testing your resolve, for the purposes of your sickness progressing.
19.
Okay. Um, the she finishes penning the letter. She's gone from completely illiterate a few months ago to now, having penmanship and like a mastery of it. And the letter looks complete as she finishes it. And then when she holds it up to kind of like check to see if there's any errors, to see if like her illness has affected her, she realizes she's written it in sheet music.
Oh no. Yeah, there's a slight panic of, oh god, I'm becoming Graham. Uh, uh yeah, she's going to address it to Honorine. And just pray Honorine can get the message.
Um, the Yeah, and she as she like the note, like the letter falls down, um she hears like the sort of lullaby that grandma has been continually humming to her. And she realizes that the lullaby are the notes that she put down as the sheet music.
Mm. Mm. Yay! So much fun! Oh,
Um
A reminder that Gav has been making frequent visits to Rosa's place.
um what has Gav done on the occasions when she doesn't answer that?
Um, he breaks in and leaves it on her counter.
What is he leaving on her counter in this case? The
It's
little
usually
token?
food, a short letter from Hannelore just to keep her spirits up.
Okay. So it's not going to require a criminal roll to break in because like
He
I think
probably
you've
set the
done it
lock.
enough at this point. Yeah. Um, so Gav comes in. This is like during this whole period. He sees that there's like a letter that's like on the desk. Rosa's actually in bed in full dress, like not like sick clothes, but like I'm going outside kind of dress. But she's like her eyes are closed, they're in sleep, and whenever they kind of like open even partially, you can see that her eyes are completely black. Like she's doing magic in her sleep. Um, and this time he has not just the food, but he has like the little like pendant from Ettore.
Right. Um, I think he would. Oh, yeah, he'd do it. He'd spoon out a small bowl of the stew, knock on the door frame, and walk in. Rosa, your stew is going to get cold.
And she's not responding. Like this time, normally when he's seen Rosa before, she's been in a state of she's been not quite lucid, but she's been like interact with
Fevered.
yeah, like fevered. Sometimes how you can like kind of deal with people with dementia, like that you can guide them to certain things and stuff like that.
Mhm.
It's like very combination of like fevered brain and everything like that. Does that make sense? So,
He readjusts the straps on his mask, and yeah, he goes forward and reaches out with his Cernith hand and jostles her shoulder. Rosa.
and there's no response from her.
Renditori brought something for you. I'm going to
there
put it on your neck now, Doc.
he can see that she's sweating profusely, that she's not responsive. There are white spots like across her skin. She's advancing a lot faster than anybody else.
Yeah.
And there's like blood in her sheets and on her dress.
Yeah. Gav's got the glove on the one hand, and his other hand isn't, alive, so he gets Rosa out of her dress and, into small clothes, and as he does so, he's just talking to her, about his day, about what Hannelor's been doing, and pulls her hair to one side and just clasps the little pendant around her neck.
Okay. I need Gav to make a resolve roll. This is to see that if he is going to contract white plague. Because he is in fairly intimate and close contact with somebody, he has protective measures which are going to give him a +5 on that roll.
Mm. Would I consider this a wound check for concern of toughness?
I don't really feel like disease is the province of toughness.
Yeah, I just thought I'd check. Okay. It's just straight resolve, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's an extra. All right. $23
Okay.
with the +5.
With the +5. Okay. Yeah, so that gets you. So the first stage of infection, if you do not have magic, the threshold is 20. That was the exact. So like Honorine made hers last time, and Rosa did not. Hans is also infected. We're going to be coming into that a little bit later.
So I barely made it.
Mhm.
Yeah. Gav being the normie finally works out in his favor.
I will
Okay,
give you a
resist.
drama die for the recklessness.
Okay.
Um,
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, Gav he just
like my
It
friend
will be
needs
fine.
help, so
Yeah.
okay. The Rosa, how many resolves do you have? Okay. The So you've failed 2 now, so you're on to the 3rd stage. Because when you are a sorcerer, you add to the difficulty. It adds to your difficulty. So it doesn't add in the
And
initial contracting thing. Does that make sense? Like
Mhm.
that's just a flat number because that's kind of like my do you actually get exposed or not random chance. But as far as like the recovery goes, that is a different thing.
what stage am I rolling death saves at?
There's not really a death save. Does that make
Okay.
sense? But if you go from stage 3 to stage 4, that is like fatal, but in your case, something else is going to happen.
Okay, sounds good.
She unravels and we all lose.
So Gav also sees that the source of the blood is not like internal bleeding. It's that she has scratched open some of the sores that first formed.
Oof.
And that's what's causing the blood. And that seems
Yeah.
to be just like a sort of like reflexive thing that she's doing because she's very out of it.
Mhm. I think in the process of treating Rosa, because he does have doctor. I think he's got 2 points in it. He wraps her arms, just puts a little salve or whatever on, and just tries to.
Yeah, if you just wrap the fingers and the hands, that usually can prevent people from.
Yeah, but also just because I mean, don't want the scratches to get infected.
Yeah.
Chicken pox mittens. I had those.
Is he leaving after that, or is he?
I think he tries to get at least a bowl of broth down for her.
Okay.
Try to get her to eat something.
Let's have you make an actual doctor roll for that. See how much
Okay.
like actual nutrition you get to her.
Probably wits.
Yep.
Or some doctor. Uh, 35.
So yeah, you actually managed to like get her to drink some of it, kind of get her like it's fully like cradled in an arm, like tipping the just trying to get her to like drink the broth. And after a point, like reflex just sort of takes over and she seems it seems to be received positively in the sense that like she's got a very dry throat and hasn't been able to drink much and it seems to help a lot. She's
She's not
very
spitting it out.
feverish.
Yeah.
She's very feverish and seems to kind of constantly be trying to get out of the blankets and anything that she's put into and stuff like that. So
Gav adds a log or two onto the fire in her hearth to, keep the temperature up so she's not boiling. Or, to help with the fever at least.
And Rosa has a moment where she can like there's lucidity of that she can see both grandmother and Gav in the same room. Gav kind of like holding her and like the broth to her. But like every time she tries to speak, she just has lullaby coming out of her mouth. Like this, or sort of like vocalized version of like what grandmother has been singing to her. And she sees Otto like crawl up onto her forearm. And she's never heard Otto like speak to her, right? Like she's not like Len, she can't understand it. But Otto does speak to her. And he says, "What do I say to him?"
Tell them the unraveled. They're the ones who are causing the white plague. They're trying to kill as many as possible.
And the spider kind of turns and Gav kind of realizes like he's seen the spider before, he knows it's her pet. But it turned towards Gav, kind of has like a moment of like, are we cool, bro? Before it like crawls over and onto his arm.
Gav doesn't even twitch.
And it sinks its fangs into his arm. And then quickly hops away, like sort of like reflexively, like it's trained to do that because most people don't seem to appreciate it. But here's the message that Rosa just said. It sounds like still almost like it's being sung to him. Does that make sense? But Otto seems to be able to sort of gulf the distance.
The enemy we cannot see. looking to destroy something that for thousands of years we thought never existed.
And as Rose is looking at Gav, like she's fully seeing his arcana over his head the entire time. The Arcana of Death, I should point out, is the actual card. You know what I'm saying? So like she's being visited and tended to by death and her grandmother.
And even if she's not seeing death, this is Gavin full plague outfit. He's got the big crow mask and the hood and the big leather gloves that go all the way up to the elbow. And with Gav, that's a lot of glove.
All right. I'm gonna want Rose to make one more resolve check while he's here.
You have drama dice.
Can I use a drama die, please? Because I got a 14.
Do you want to use the drama die to reroll?
Yes, please. So does that mean instead of 5, keep 4?
If you use 2. It's 1 for the reroll, 1 for the 1K1, correct?
So just so you know, you're going to have one more reroll after this, which is going to be the final one. Does that make sense? Like the so you can spend it now if you want, or you can hold it and advance to the next stage.
I think I need to save it for the last one, guys. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Don't you get 3 per session though?
What's your lowest attribute?
2.
So you have 2 drama dice.
She's still got a Brana too. So
yeah.
Okay. So Gav, like he watches her, she's like he can literally see like the spots like spreading across her skin. Some rare survivors of White Plague, they actually have like they just look almost albino pale. Does that make sense? Because like there's like it spread so far across them that like any points of like normally toned skin are just no longer there. So going to there's
what's her fate lashes look like over that?
Her entire skin looks like ivory white, like porcelain ivory white. Okay, so you have advanced to the 3rd stage of White Plague. So you must pick one trait to permanently lower by 1. That trait will forever have an impairment on it, making it more expensive to buy up. Okay. And you will also pick one trait to raise by 1 permanently.
Resolve, maybe?
Yeah, I'm thinking of
a
raising.
Wild idea.
I was thinking of raising resolve and either dropping brawn or finesse, which will only leave me with 1 drama die per session.
Now you can still buy those up later. It costs more experience to do so.
Yeah. But it makes sense if I drop the brawn and add the resolve.
Drop your highest trait.
That's wits or resolve.
But she will forever have a penalty on buying them up, is the thing.
Right, but you've already you have less to go to buy them up to max. So like that's the reasoning there. Like since you have less distance to go to bring them up to max, your penalty affects you.
It also
less.
means she's only rolling 3 dice for her next.
What does your instinct say for Rosa? What feels right in the moment as far as her reaction to it?
Body gets weak and the mind gets sharp.
Okay.
And I know that's crazy. I'm sorry.
No, it's absolutely fine. So just go ahead and make the changes in your character sheet now. Is your wits going up then, not your resolve? Where is your resolve going up?
I think it's resolve.
Resolve is both how survivable of this stuff you are, and also secondarily, it's going to determine your survival roll for the next and final roll.
Yeah, and it makes sense that she's deciding like, no, bitch, I'm gonna survive this shit.
Um, so, Gav can, like, when Gav is like lifting her, he can tell that she feels lighter, like lost weight. Not a good thing in general. Definitely not while pregnant. Um, is he letting her stay here? Is he staying with her? Is he making sure somebody's staying with her?
Um, Gav motions to one of the kids. He can pretty much just snap his finger and one shows up.
Not right now, actually.
Not right now. Oh fuck. He needs to get word. He needs to speak with Sora
Okay.
because he knows her daughter survived it. He needs to know what she learned because he also leaves a letter. Actually, he wants to send a letter to Dr. I can't remember his name.
Feel
The
good.
guy who, sorry,
I said Dr. Feelgood.
Dr. Phil. I wanted to call him Lipschitz, but that's from Rugrats, and he was a psychiatrist. Anyways, the assembly member who survived the White Plague.
Lieber. Udo Lieber.
Thank you. That would totally make sense. His name is Life. A letter to Dr. Lieber detailing the advances in Rosa's condition. A letter to Sora telling her, like, I need to know everything you know. Rosa is dying. And a letter to Honorine. I need to know everything that you can find out at the academy. Rosa is dying. Like, he doesn't sugarcoat it for her because he knows that if he did, she'd hit him. Like, Rosa's advancing a lot faster than we thought. You have access to the academy. What can we learn?
So we're holding off on Rosa's last roll, but you sent her the letters. It's going to be some time for them to be delivered and to reply.
And
And
then Gav stays put.
Okay.
He's gonna stick with her.
Okay. So I'm going to assume that at some point he is going back to, like, because we have the whole thing with Madeline de Bissett and like the Dragon Egg, which we haven't resolved. So I'm assuming that's happening imminently. So at some point he's going to leave to do that.
Yeah.
But we can assume that he's been staying with Rosa as much as possible during this time.
Yeah, I think probably he waits until Dr. Lieber shows up.
Okay.
And then the second he does is like, I have to go.
Yeah. And Lieber's like, I've mostly been at the hospital, but this is an advanced stage. And
it's like I watched it crawl up her arms.
So she must have a very advanced case.
And so yeah, then he goes and the dragon talks to me. Get a long distance call.
However, I am going to be cutting over to some other folks. We are an hour out, and I still have not gotten to 5 of you. So I'm very sorry about that. So I know that Honorine and Bruna have been working together, so I'd like to kind of have the both of you like at the same time. I think that puts Runa like down in the place with all the books with Honorine, unless she wants to be tending people directly, which is risky for her twofold. Like, one is she is herself a magic user, and secondarily, I think she has an instinct to try to take white plague from people that is probably a really bad instinct because
But
of her
she
sympathetic
doesn't.
healer.
Like she is very much not allowing herself to. She would be directly helping people in like small spats, and I would assume being someone who has the instinct to help people and is smart enough to know that she should also protect herself, she probably has the appropriate PPE.
What
Such as it,
PPE? It's the Middle
yeah,
Ages.
Mask.
like that's a plague mask and gloves and
Yeah.
like high collars,
That-
but like
that.
it's definitely
And a pomander.
I do give like like a +5 for it just because there's less skin exposure and stuff like that, but it's not they a lot of times the doctors that were plague doctors just got the plague and survived. So
But like I have to stay true to Runa. I know it's risky for her, but she would help.
There
And-
is also
Huh? What were you saying,
and
Scissa?
As well as working with Honorine. As she is
the
only going in like the brief spats to keep her like trying to keep her exposure as low as
Yeah.
she can with by we're still helping where she's needed.
so the headmaster of the playground has taken the controversial stance of not releasing the students to go back to their homes. Despite insistence from the families, the students, and everybody else. Because he is a wise enough man to understand that allowing people who might potentially have the plague to travel across Eisen will do nothing good for Eisen. But he is also, and he did that kind of after conferring with both Runa and Honorine about what they knew about what was there. And he might have made a very different call if it was the wasting disease, because then it's like a matter of you're in proximity to something dangerous, sure, get them away from it. But now knowing that it's the White Plague, he's taken an unexpectedly bold decision given the effect it could have on the reputation of his university.
How did the talk with Sora go?
So
Because I think we
The-
would have done that like right after.
That was like
you talked.
like the last thing I said last session was I
Yeah.
need to talk to Brandy, but then we decided it was probably Sora.
Yeah, well, Brandy was 1 when she got it, and she doesn't really remember anything of it.
Ergo
What
talking to Sora.
Yeah. And Sora definitely looks like stricken when she remembers it, because at the time she was like she had been married to Joris for like a year, and
Joran.
so what's that?
Joran.
Joran for a year, and had been forced into that marriage, then had a child with him. And then the only thing that and like at the time she felt deeply guilty because she wasn't even sure she wanted to have the child, and then it got sick and she felt awful, right? Because she sort of blamed herself. Like, if I had loved this child more, then she never would have gotten sick, which she knew in one part of her was like irrational, but she basically spent the entire time praying. She prayed in the Objectionist church, and she prayed to every altar to like the runes that she could find. Like, she wasn't even sure she believed them, but she prayed to anything that she thought might help her. And there's no like magic of like what seemed to help her survive beyond the fact that she had attentive care that made sure that she was like her clothes were changed frequently. She ate as much as she could make her eat, and she was youthful and had a relatively resilient immune system. Although, like, the understanding of what an immune system is sort of like shaky at this point. Does that make sense? Like, her humors were well balanced.
Okay. So that's what we got from Sora.
The key that Honorine pulls out of it is well attended by nurses, getting enough nutrients.
Changing the clothes too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
Runa, like, with how like protective and like how like not necessarily responsible, but like I guess in the sense of being protective, kind of looks to Honorine and goes, I think I should be helping with Rosa.
You can't go to the hospital.
She's
Like,
not
she
her
says it
own.
at about the same time that Runa starts to say, I think I should, and Honorine, anticipating what she thinks Runa's about to say, is like, you can't go to the hospital.
No, but I think I should be helping Rosa. Well, attentive nurses, and I'm sure she has that. And does Runa know that Gav's looking after her as well?
I think at some time during this, the letter from Gav is going to arrive. So we can assume that it comes with Gav's requests and the awareness that Rosa is progressing worse.
There's no words. Honorine is like, grab, go. Grabs Runa's hand, is headed for the door. Runa may still be forming words. I don't know.
She's going with her?
I hope so, because her hand sure is.
All right. So you, being council members, you have the paperwork to cross the bridges. You get what I'm saying? They ask questions about where you're going, like what your business is. It requires the sort of pulling the rank of like we're council members to get into the district.
Yes. We are on
Okay.
very important business.
Okay.
I mean, Honorine is like storming. Like, she's like, I will burn the city down if you don't get out of my way.
Runa is storming with her with the
They're both just
resolve
like
of Ingvild Olafsdottir's daughter.
Yeah.
And they're like, look, we're going to
That's
let you
a
in.
bit
We're
of
council
revenge.
members. We're not drawing blades on people to keep them where they're going, but
No, it's the seriousness of where she's going. Not
Yeah,
like,
I'm just saying,
gonna
like,
kill you.
if it sounds
Sorry,
like they're
I
gonna stop
didn't
her.
specify that. No, she just like is on a mission. Sorry, that I described it way more intense than it should have been explained.
Yeah.
no, it's fine. But I imagine there's a certain amount of like when they're getting very like we're coming through whether you let us or not. You know what I'm saying? They're like we're not going to cut anybody down for trying to make the way through, but we do have to report it to the captain.
Good, report it. I did not. That was not more dramatic than I intended. That was exactly as dramatic as I intended. Honorine is upset. So she's like, I mean, she doesn't threaten to burn the city down, but she's like, he will let me through.
She's emoting it. That's fine.
Yeah.
So this is a good time
in her
to
eyes.
bring in Gerard, just because.
Oh yeah, Gerard.
But before we do that, I'm actually cutting over to Hans because this is relevant. Because
Do you know who I am?
Because I need Hans to make another resolve roll.
Ah, shit. Okay.
Somehow not as concerned about that one.
Please do better than me.
How high's your resolve, my love?
It's 3.
Oh. Oh
17.
no.
That feels pretty bad.
Wow, 2 1s. 2
Yeah.
1s.
Oh, 2 1s. I didn't look. Oh geez. Okay.
Do you want to roll physical dice?
No. I've had my luck is the same with any dice I find.
So
yeah, can I re-roll that one real quick?
Do you want to spend a drama die to re-roll it?
Yeah, I'll spend one.
You can, and you can roll physical dice if you prefer. It's just
I also don't have space on my desk. This is just more convenient for my gameplay.
Yeah.
It's There's only so good it can be with
Wow, what the fuck?
low resolve.
You have a
Okay.
curse.
I might. I don't know.
okay. So
That's bad juju.
Hans discovers that he is infected when he completely collapses in the middle of like the Draken's Tooth. Like he's been trying to carry on, do martial things, you know what I'm saying? Like there's a lockdown that's in effect. There's a lot of things that are like his responsibility
Ugh.
right now. He's been doing his whole, I don't need sleep. I am Hans. And then like he just like, why is the floor jumping at me?
Man, the ground seems awfully close today.
Well, I think the ground just punched me. And so that's relevant because we cut over to Gerard with two runners kind of bursting into his office. One of them is like, I've just come from the Wakund. It says the marshal has collapsed. He is infected.
Wait, who are the runner?
Oh.
Wait, who did
This
they
is the
go
first
to?
runner. And like the second runner, like a moment later, is like two members of the council just barged over the bridge into Finehearth.
Isn't Hans the marshal?
Not anymore.
Hans, what? No, Hans is the marshal.
Yeah,
Oh, the
They said
marshal,
the
but
marshal's
he's
the
not
collapsed.
the captain.
So wait,
He's not the
the
guard captain.
runner
He's
that
city marshal, yeah.
well,
He's
no,
the marshal, but the runner came from the Wakun to say the marshal's collapsed to the closest like figure of authority, which is Gerard. Does that make
oh,
sense?
to Gerard. Okay, I
Guard
thought they were
captain.
Yeah,
telling
so-
Hans that the marshal
Ah.
had collapsed, and I was like, "Isn't he the?" Anyway,
Yeah, no.
Yes,
No,
I'm
this
right
is
here on the
Gerard
floor.
getting two pieces of bad news at once
Okay.
about like you know, two of the members of the council just broke containment.
sorry, I got
Um,
rebleached today. It affected brain cells.
and also that
Brain
like
cells
the marshal has collapsed and has also effectively gotten the white plague as well.
God.
To be first, who else knows?
Say that again.
Who else knows
He says about which?
about the marshal?
He says the entire Wakun knows.
Lock down the Wakun, find the doctor, get him there immediately.
Yeah, he goes off running.
To the second, which two council members?
He says, he kind of, foo, the really pretty Montaigne one and the really pretty Vendel one.
Preston.
Yeah, that. No, I think he actually says Vendel. Like they're
Same diff.
Same diff, but there is a diff.
He's like, whatever. V.
And Montaigne, down the Sources and their stubbornness.
Pot and kettle.
Did they stay where they were going?
We saw them headed east, which, given the direction they're coming from, the whole of Finehearth is east.
Nerd.
Who would Gerard would know is in that district that would get this reaction from these two?
Rosa.
Bingo. I'm not making assumptions until I have answers. And I know Rosa's ill. Find council member then. Tell him to get home immediately. Do not bar either of the council members from being in that district, but do not let them back into this district without one of the doctors seeing them first.
He says we'll send somebody up. I don't know if Len's in the city right now.
Send runners and find him.
We'll have somebody waiting when he returns at his home and at the bear house.
Well, if I'm asking that he get home immediately, having somebody waiting in his home will not do us much good now, will it?
He says we don't know where he is though. He's done his thing where he disappears for weeks.
And I think Gerard would know that he's on his way to Fischler.
Do I know that?
I think maybe he's a council member. We've been talking about what we're.
Yeah, I think Len informed the rest of the council that he was following and wanted to give Fischler some warning because Verschlingen were headed into his domain.
Yep,
And
and
he has a
taking the
letter
letter from
yeah.
Honorine to Falk. So, yeah, he'd have been like, "All right, I'll get back as soon as I can. I'm not fighting it for them. I'm just letting them know it's there."
All right, Fish. Where's Fishner?
The south.
South of here, sir.
Send a runner to Fishner. Last word was that is where Len's destination was.
Yeah, he'll let him know that he was headed to Falk Fischler, and so to go find him.
And then I will make my way to the Wachtturm, excuse me, proper pronunciation.
He's actually going to the tower, not to Rosa.
The marshal's at the tower.
No,
Honor-
Marshal's at the
Han-
Wakund.
he's at the Wachtturm, which
Oh.
is there's the Wachtturm, which is the big tower, and there's the Wachtturm, which is the Dragon's Tooth, which is like a bar that like they use as their base of operations.
I misheard. I thought he was at the tower.
No, it's all good.
The Wachtturm. Because Honorine and Runa are on their way to Rosa. I will go to the marshal.
Okay. So what degree has Hans allowed his men to help him?
That's a good question. I think if as soon as it's obvious that he's infected, I would imagine that he's kind of trying to just batten down the hatches and make sure no one else can
Okay.
get infected. So if there is someone among like his trusted officials that is a survivor, like if he knows that there's someone who's low risk, that's the person he'd turn to. But right now, I think he would just be sending for Dr. Lieber or any other doctors who have survived
Yeah,
first,
I
and
think-
then like any proper doctors after, and just
I think
waiting.
it's probably some small like private, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like
It's a
after
small,
Hans is like
a
pulled
small
into bed,
affair for sure.
like the private comes in and he just kind of like takes a look at Hans and like there's a visible reaction of panic. You know what I'm saying? But and like his hands are kind of trembling when he presents like the tray of like cup and bowl and stuff like that. And he kind of quickly exits, and when Gerard is like approaching a little while later, he's like, "You may not want to go in there. I've seen White Plague survivors before. He's got some monstrous case of it. He looks like a devil."
Oh.
Let's be fast.
As you wish, sir. He makes the sign of the cross.
That's fair. That's fair, honestly.
And Gerard, I don't know, has he seen Hans without his mask before?
Not that I am aware of.
So, Hans, do you want to give a quick description again to Gerard of what you look like without your glamour?
Yeah. So without like normal looking Hans is everyone knows him. He just looks like a normal guy. This the person you see in this bed is like already pale, which you wouldn't like uncharacteristically pale of someone who is kind of just discovering that they're sick, has jet black hair, and the most bizarre feature is his eyes, which are mostly black with the best way to describe it would be if you were to take a small disc of glass and shatter it on a flat floor is kind of what his irises look like. Like his irises appear to almost like shattered glass within black scleras, and they're a very dark blue, like a deep ocean blue, uncharacteristic of normal people eyes.
Hans's progression is going differently than Rosa's, and one of the things that Gerard sees that is different. So Hans has 3 different wounds left over from the last battle that have been continuously seeping amber for the last few weeks that have not healed. But now they're not doing that. One of them is seeping amber yet. One of them is seeping something black and viscous, and one of them is seeping something like white and phlegmatic. it's definitely something like one glance, you're like, I'm not really sure that touching you is a good idea.
Greatest
Yeah.
cross between what I would think and what Gerard would think.
And Rosa
Oh, his blood.
has like delirium and
He has
fevers.
blood.
Hans is experiencing pain like
Ah.
his insides are eating each other, not like eating themselves, like his kidneys are fighting his liver.
No.
Hey, Posen, come get your fiance. He's super yummy.
We've arranged a play date.
A plague
so,
date?
So what's Gerard's reaction to the side of this?
He pauses for a moment, takes like a half step back. Would you look at yourself? You have worked your glamour clean off.
You can see it now too. I would apologize, but at this point, it does not matter.
No, it still matters, because if you pass on, then the chaos of your predecessor's death starts all over again.
Yes, it is true. But it would not be the first time.
If Arthur were here, I would have Arthur take a look at you, because I have no idea what it is you're leaking.
Oh, it is some
Do not
fey monster magic.
Do not pull
Sure
the
bit.
big badass fay on me. I can see the pain that you are in, and it's because you will not let anybody help you. Now I have to figure out how to get somebody in here to help you without everybody outside of that door knowing, one, how bad off you are, and two, what is going on. Because you have hidden under that glamour.
It's very, very few people who have seen this. Yeah.
And if those people out there figured out why you look the way you do, I mean, the white plague is a good excuse, but
Yeah.
if they figure it out, how much chaos do you think is going to fall on this city?
Who is to say at this point?
I am going to say massive chaos, probably the end of Freeburg in and of itself. Your enemies will take advantage of this in immense ways. Your allies will abandon you. So, at this moment, you are quarantined. You do not go out that door. The only ones coming in this door will be myself and whoever I find to help.
Let me interrupt for just a moment. As Gerard is taking the tack of being sort of authoritative, whatnot, and also with like the underlying threat of like your enemy's will, Hans's fingers on his Panzerhand hand split open, and like black Draconizing looking claws unsheath
Yes.
themselves for a moment.
Yes.
And
Oh,
then,
it's been so long.
And like there's a moment where like his skin is shredding and Gerard is watching scales like grow up his forearm. And then it sort of like reverses and his hand is just a bloody, painful mess.
What is this?
Just wait.
Wait for what? Is that part of the plague, or is that something that is benefiting you?
Wait for the pain to. Oh, God.
He immediately needs to be like wrapped because otherwise he's gonna lose enough blood that this doesn't matter.
I go to the door, open it just wide enough, gets a physician, a doctor, a quack, an herbalist, I don't care what. Somebody in there now.
And you know, he kind of, as he's closing the door, hears the private, like, or maybe a priest.
Don't close the door. Door's still open. If you've spoken of this to anyone, I will personally hang you from the walls.
He says, I'm just saying there are some things of this world, he says, and some things of the world beyond, and I know which is which.
Then if you need to, find a witch.
He says, you think a witch would make this better?
Wouldn't make it worse.
Probably true.
So Gerard is clearly there with Hans for a while, so I'm cutting back to Honorine and Runa arriving and seeing Rosa. Gav's there. What is Honorine and Runa's reaction upon seeing like a pale, thinner Rosa?
I think like there was like urgency and like massive concern on her face leading up to it, and I think everything kind of just like sinks as she realizes how serious this is, and it's just she just starts tending to her like
I
wet
think
towel on the
Gav
head.
body blocks her. It is
So I
not
think-
safe for you to get close to her.
I have to do something. I have to help.
What have you learned? That is what I
That-
need. I need your minds.
It
He looks
seemed
to Honorine as well.
we talked to Sora. She said that Brandy seemed to get better with intensive nursing care. I don't know if it was just that or a miracle.
We could
She's
hope
also
for
a
both.
sorceress.
So I think Honorine's original reaction to seeing Rosa and like having it be apparent in front of her that Rosa is extremely sick, because sometimes Rosa is dramatic about things, and so I think pretty much like Honorine goes so pale so fast that it looks like she might pass out, like it hits really hard, and then she immediately starts going through Rose's cupboards, like her drawers, her cabinets. She's looking for bedding and she's looking for clothing.
Yeah, there's plenty of both of those, I think. And there's been even some more that are like donated near the door from the Jenny's Guild that is like down the street that Rosa's provided many a reading to and offered much counsel to. There's spare clothes, there's spare blankets, there's like a surprising amount of food on the door. Like I think Gav has gotten some of it like taken away and like, given it to others just because Rosa's only eating so much.
So
Rosa is experiencing this room as being empty though. Like her grandmother is there, you know what I'm saying? She's not feeling cold or hot. And as she's kind of like lying in the bed, her grandmother like puts her hand on her chest and slowly slides it down and over her belly. And she says, if you want to save your child, now is the time. You have to let me inside again. As I saved you on the tower, I can save you now. And as Rosa is about to respond, the door opens and a figure out of like history is standing in the doorway. That figure is a knight clad head to toe in armor from like the Middle Ages, that Rosa recognizes from a statue like during her childhood in Vidachi Lands. That statue was the White Knight. It was the knight that led the crusade against the Lorenzo family.
Okay.
And like the statue was masculine, but like pulls its helmet off, and Rosa sees like long hair tumble out from and feminine features. And the knight says, "You do not need this witch. Do not heed her."
I was actually going to tell her to shove off, but thanks for the reminder.
And grandmother says, "Soon what you tell me will not matter at all. Soon you will not have any strength to resist. And the knight says, find faith.
Uh,
You- you-
yeah, Rose is just like, nope. If I know anything of faith, there's another who has a hand in this child, and she will not give us up.
She says, you do not need faith in Theus. You do not need faith in an order. You need faith in your child, that they will be greater than the sum of their parts.
That's not hard with those parts. Oh God.
Shh. Um, so in the middle of this sort of like interchange, I know Honorine is hiding right now, but she does actually find that sheet of music. I want to know what she does with it.
I had unmuted to talk about that, and then I forgot I was unmuted. The sheet of music was in the house with Rosa, right? It wasn't like delivered
Yeah,
to her
it's on a
before?
bedside table.
Okay.
And it's like written in a hand that's clearly Rose's by virtue of how much it shakes.
Okay. So Honorine is going to start delegating, for lack of a better word. She's like, Gav, I need you to lift her up. We're going to change her bedding. We're going to dress her wounds. Runa, start preparing soap and water, whatever, hot water, start boiling water. Like, you, like, she's just like, all right, we're going to do what like needs to be done for this.
She's also gonna hand
I
them
can't help
a
but
damp warm towel.
yeah, I think Runa probably has more medical training in all of the things that physically should be happening.
Well,
And can
yeah,
probably very easily take that over.
I mean, yes, but like that doesn't mean Honorine isn't telling her what to do. But
That's fine. She's being bossy
Honorine
right
is,
now.
I mean, Runa is just also doing other things that she know will help. Like she's still getting those tasks done, but
Like,
she like has a neat, like, you can see she has a neatly planned like organizer of what steps are next that
the
should
water's
go.
already boiled and everything, and Runa's just like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna do that, even though it's already done because Gav's been there for hours already.
Yeah.
So what is going to happen here imminently? First off, I want to know, is she doing anything with the music and the page particularly?
yes, she's going to like pick it up and kind of look at Rosa, and then it's in musical notes for her, or was that a hallucination?
No, it's in musical notes. She
Okay.
wrote it out in music.
Okay.
There's no words with it. It's just, like a tune.
Okay. Honorine's going to her music teacher. Where's her music teacher?
Across town in Riverfront.
She's gonna try to decipher it herself.
Yeah, it doesn't, I think with her level of scholar, it doesn't require a roll. So
I mean, try to decipher. Like, I assume that Rosa wasn't just, since she's seen the journal and how the journal is in like music notes and stuff, like, so I assume she's like not assuming that it's just a pretty tune. So she's trying to interpret the
give me a
message
wits and scholar roll.
underneath it. Yeah, okay.
While you do that, I'm cutting back to Rosa. in her, there's the knight there telling her to have faith in her child, telling her to have faith in that their child is more than the sum of her parts. And grandmother looks to her, and she remembers the moment when grandmother told her, like, if you love somebody, you burn the rest of the world down. Like that, her definition of family, her willingness to like do anything for the people that she cared about. And at the time, it was a message to her about throwing off the church and throwing off her sense of shame. And it was a message that like Rosa needed to hear. And and there was something about grandmother in the moment that was like the real deal. Like seeing her with no masks on, the real woman behind it, the drivenness, the unapologeticness of her, choosing to be who she was in the face of a world that would control her and use her for their ends. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
She chose her own course. And that woman is sitting there and looking Rose in the face. In many ways, that woman, the one that she saw in the spell that she worked with Honorine and Bernice and Caligari, is the one that's looking at her. And she says, I don't want your child to do some monstrosity in the world. I want a second chance. My life for centuries has been pain and loneliness. And for the first time in more generation than I can remember, I have something akin to a family.
Piss off a spirit.
She says,
About to piss off a
I
goat.
want to save you, and I want to save your child. And is it for my own ends? Yes, I will survive. A part of me will return to the world, but not the whole of it. And like any child, I will be born without sin. Let me help you.
There is a tenderness to Rosa that she does not show often. And all she can say, oh, she's gonna piss off a spirit. Sorry, y'all. Those I have met have taught me that the beauty of life is that we only get one chance. And sometimes we mess up.
That's such a gentle way to piss off a spirit.
She says, if I had been allowed to end when my time was up, there would have been no complaint from my spirit. She says, but I persist and persist and persist. She says, my pain does not end. My death did not forgive my mistakes. She says, my loneliness is not the heartbreak of a few years. It is the centuries of solitude and cold, and I pray you never feel it.
And I forgive you.
She straightens. She says, I do not. Her face hardens, and she watches the sort of like the unraveledness, the cold undeadness seems to wrap around her like a cocoon again. And there's just a moment where she can see like the eyes starting to tear, and then they turn completely black, and she's gone.
Yeah.
Is Rosa speaking aloud?
She?
No, I think she's thrashing pretty hard.
Yeah. I'm sorry, guys.
So you're going to be making your last resolve roll.
Hey,
You
Magic,
have
Um,
drama
that's-
die.
Hey, Magic, make a death
I-
save for me.
Have 2
Yeah.
left, right?
Oh no, don't say that, Bison.
You're going to get, by virtue of the help that you're getting, but before we make this roll, I do need to ask. So Honorine discovers that the music is a section of a song from the book. It's not just like similar to it. It is an actual part of a larger song.
Where's the book? Give me the book. Give me the book.
And the song is named Requiem in Pace.
Really?
Mhm.
I know my Latin.
So what is she doing with that knowledge? Is she doing anything with the song? Is she very deliberately not doing anything with the song?
I don't I don't know if she like knows how to music. But
She's a noblewoman. I kind of consider at least a small amount of it.
probably can sight read. Okay, so
Yeah. Like I don't think she carries the best tune necessarily, but like I think she can follow the notes.
she sits down and she starts to hum the tune. She starts at the beginning in the book and starts to hum the tune.
So she's starting with the beginning of the book, or she's starting with the
No.
beginning of this song.
The beginning of this song in the book. You said it was a fragment on the note, so I don't know. She's starting from the beginning of the song, though.
Okay. All right. So the let's have Rosa make her roll.
So if I'm using a drama die, is that a kept or an unkept?
That is it's a full kept die plus 1 Q1. One K1. One keep one.
So it's 6 keep 6.
Mm-hmm.
47.
You needed a 35 because it's a 20 normally. You're in the 4th stage, which just doesn't actually change the difficulty, but because you're a master sorcerer, it was 5 extra per. So that survives. Like as she's like starting to tremble, there's like a moment of lucidity, and like the knight takes both of her hands, right? And begins to pray over her in Latin. Or in Newman. And it's like a prayer of like forgiveness, like the kind that you would do for somebody who's about to die, like not to like forgive their sins as opposed to like to recover. Does that make sense? And it's like let the stones of her guilt fall away from her, let her sins be excised by your mercy. And like Rosa opens her eyes and realizes like she's surrounded by her adopted family. And her hand is like wrapped around the token of this particular knight who has been sainted. They were, according to the church's official records, male. but there is something that Rosa's just certain that was something changed by the society that she lived within. I'm grabbing their name real quick. It's Indari del Caligula Rosa is their full name. And the connection between the name Rosa's taken for herself or been given and that name, I'll let you decide on your own.
I find it funny, and I'm going to keep it.
And
Is it Casigula or Caligula?
Casigula.
Okay.
And rune attending, honoring, humming, now I want honoring to make a resolve roll. And instead of any other skill, which is going to use with it is her own sorcery rating.
Okay. Number, not letter. 38. We already talked about the scholar roll, so never mind about that. 38 for the resolve roll.
As she's singing, she sees Rosa's eyes open. She sees lucidity in them for the first time. She feels like the book where she went to go and reference like the full song, the book that is tied to this woman, like starting to grow colder and colder in her hands, like to the point where like would freeze her fingers. But she has a natural ability to counter that if she chooses to do so.
Yeah, she's not letting go of that book.
And Gav and Runa kind of the only ones that aren't bound in this moment. Like Runa's tending Rosa, but like both of you can feel the cold suddenly coming through the robe. And as Runa and Gav are there, they see the black form of an unraveled starting to appear in the room. It is starting to fully manifest there, with like spider webs of black strands dripping off of it, dark black eyes.
Burn the book.
And
Gav's first impulse is like, can I suplex it?
Burn the book.
You can. So the.
Because Gav's had these things described to him before, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now we are running tight on time. We are like 15 minutes out. I still haven't even gotten to get to Len yet, and we need to go back to Hans and Gerard. Are we okay with like half an hour over today?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. With that said, I don't want to roll out this combat because we have a 4-to-1 advantage, and much like many other systems, action economy wins. Does that make sense? When she is manifested, she has full weaknesses to like any normal weapon. Like you can beat her to death with a tire iron. Does that make sense? It's just that normally she cannot like be struck. She cannot be attacked. Does that make sense? You have somebody who shoots lightning, somebody who shoots fire, and somebody who can like suplex, but her attacks deal a dramatic wound every single time they hit. Does that make sense? So what I would like to do is say, who would like to take a lash?
I will.
I think Gav would. I mean, honestly, everybody's putting their hands up, but I mean, if we get down to it, the only person who's getting close and willingly getting close, because I mean, Gav takes up a lot of room.
She's got whips. They can strike anybody in the room.
Okay.
There's no problem with that.
Damn.
She's using like literally like the black strands as whips.
Question.
And so when
who did she appear to like go after?
Rosa,
Okay. So
like hand going straight for her belly.
I I think Gav is closest to Rosa too.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
I would put my vote behind Gav taking it.
No. Like, I'm asking, how many are people willing to take?
Oh,
Like, y'all
I-
who raise your hand are getting at least one.
Hmm.
okay.
If you want Gav taking the bulk of the rest of them, but if others are doing their
Runa will take as many
Split
as
it
it
evenly.
takes.
okay,
She
so
will take as many as it
Yeah,
takes.
everybody has a different reason to take wounds. Gav's doing it because he's Gav. Honorine has family. Runa's doing it because she's Runa. Like, I think
She
we would
loves her
all.
friends so much.
Ohana means family, you guys.
Yeah, no fucking shit.
You know?
okay.
I would say, yeah, I think we would split it equally because we would all,
All
punch
three
a
of us
god and
literally
then-
just went, I volunteer as tribute.
Yep.
So I'm going to go through this narratively. So the um the creature reaches for Rosa, and there are black threads that are moving towards her, like looking like they're going straight towards her belly, when a paper thin wall of ice goes up and seals off Rosa from the rest of the room, and the strands strike it, and the uh and the creature looks like incredibly confused, like ice forms around its own hands, you know what I'm saying? It's like staring at the like tiny thin wall of ice that has repelled it with confusion. That is not its work. um and Rosa can see it fighting against her sister, her friend, and two of her friends that I think she considers like family at this point, right? um
Oh yeah.
and uh the and like a noise comes out of Rosa's throat that sounds like the growl of a bear. Like a literal mama bear. That she doesn't like, she knows she made, you know what I'm saying, but it's still probably in the moment just like, did I do that?
This kid's
um
already cool as shit.
And then like Honorine is like lighting with fire, and Runa is like blasting with lightning, and Gav is like grabbing as she like hits everybody with whips that strike hard and strike fast. Each of you is taking 3 dramatic wounds from these things. I will let you decide where they're going to strike, because they will leave a forever scar. They're not going to forever impair you, but they will leave a mark. They're the lash of an unraveled.
The mental image I got was the barrier goes up. You kind of see this like sort of eyebrow raise from the unraveled, and then Gav's Cernith fist just.
Well, and
And then
you guys,
fire and lightning erupt.
well, and you guys haven't ever seen before. Honorine's never used the skill before, but she just straight up reaches into the fireplace and yanks out a ball of fire and flings it at the person, which is something that she has not done before, just kind of learned how to do fairly recently, 50 years and
cool.
2 episodes ago.
Honoring casts fireballs. She doesn't care how big the room is.
I did not ask how big the room is.
Um
But yeah.
and then so the and it's just like assaults from every side, as like her image seems to crack, her death strands seem to like come unraveled. And for just a moment, there's the woman that only Rosa has ever seen in flashbacks, the young Gram, the Fate Witch who tried to move the world to save her husband and the father of her children, and ended up destroying an entire Vidachi island. For a moment, she's just there as the last of that like unraveled nastiness, like is ripped away from her. And blood spits from her mouth and goes down her chin, and she drops, and her eyes go wide, and there's a sense of release and terror all at once. She does not know what happens now. She does not know what becomes of her, but she knows that one part of what she was is over. And the journal falls out of Honoриne's hands and shatters into little pieces of snow across the ground.
Holy shit.
Ooh.
We fucking got her. That was intense.
Rosa,
Whoa.
on your background, you have an artifact that you can delete, and you also have a background that I believe will be resolving this session.
Nice.
Honorine burns the note.
The last song of
She just
Rest in peace.
looks at the snowflakes for a moment and then immediately just turns and like touches the note and sets it on fire.
Okay, so now here's a quick question. Did anybody take more lashes than their resolve? You took 3 each.
I took exactly my resolve worth.
That's fine.
Okay.
Is
Like I am apparently now crippled. According to
is
this.
there a doctor roll or something that Runa could do to try to help, or is this just like?
This is gonna be a time and
Yeah, I thought so.
okay, so we are cutting over to Gerard and Hans again, like a hand-bended doctor on the way. And Hans is feeling like he's still feeling that feeling like his organs are fighting each other, but like it's getting worse. And there's like a growing hostility in him that he can feel that is like it's hitting Gerard because Gerard is here. Does that make sense? But like something primal, something bestial, something is wrong inside of him and is trying to rip its way out. And Gerard is hearing like these sounds of pain that are becoming like more and more animal and more something else.
This goes beyond anything that I would know how to deal with. I am a swordsman, not a sorcerer. I do not know if it's best to let this out so that taunts can heal, or if it needs to be contained because it's part of haunts.
I don't think he's even able. I don't think he's able to speak words anymore in response. It's just it's writhing and evil sounds.
I am going through everything I have for my advantages, and I cannot find, other than the fact that I'm fluent in Avalon, which means I can speak the language. It doesn't mean I know anything about it.
Yeah, he sees Hans like tumble out of his bed and like watches as like there's like a crack of bones as Hans's knees like reverse themselves. And like the legs seem to distend and grow longer. And as he sees Hans kind of like down on all fours, like the claws split right out of his hands again. And every instinct in Gerard right now is saying, get the fuck out of there. Does that make sense? Because like the thing that is Hans, the thing with those like broken glass eyes, yeah, it is not a werewolf. He does not look wolfish. Does that make sense? He looks
like a
um
creature.
yeah, it's like pure like you take all of the sort of like
Does he look like? Does he look like a tree monster?
he looks like a thing forged of Draconism and rage. Does that make sense? The closest animal would probably be a Draken, but it's not a Draken like the ones that Len and Rosa met. It's like what people conjure as nightmares of Draken. Does that make sense? Um, and instead, like one of his hands looks thicker and almost Panzer hand like, and the other one looks long and bladed as if it were a sword. And it is. I want Gerard to make a wits and his highest defense knack roll.
Keeping
And they were dragons.
Just double checking. What am I keeping on that?
You're keeping your wits.
Okay. Hmm. 22.
Okay. You are when he lunges at you, it's not a surprise, but what is a surprise is how fast he moves. Gerard is able to like backpedal like through the doorway and get it closed. Does that make sense? But there's still like a rent through the front of his clothes from like where those blades came close.
Is there a chair or a table or anything of that nature nearby?
There's plenty of things of that nature. This is like a whole like armory and bar and
A barmery.
Did the door
there are heavy tables there. Yeah, it sounds like a 300-pound version of Hans threw itself at the door.
I just
and
want to, does the door open inward or outward?
Um, let's see. If it would bar from the inside, then it would open towards the inside. So the bar for it is on Hans's side because he's the ranking officer, so he would be the one going for privacy. So
With that, I take a chair and slide the leg through the pole handle so that the chair is basically forming a bar.
all right. So Hans is in a room with no windows and a single door and filled with like a monstrous appetite to like destroy.
Oh,
What is he
okay.
what is his room going to like look like in a matter like what is he doing? Is his intention entirely focused on the door? Is he trying to destroy everything that he can reach?
I'm not sure. What is this? Out of like this from like a metagaming standpoint, that would like the understanding of where this compulsion is coming from would help me understand his actions.
So
Whether this is an element of his pact or something unrelated.
this is actually not a part of his pact, but
Okay.
his pact is influencing it in trying to sort of protect him. That's why he's
Okay.
taken the specific form that he has.
Interesting.
But this is entirely a thing of like the Fae and the poison
Mhm.
within him interacting with a magical illness.
Okay.
Cross
Okay.
the streams, boys.
His blood.
Yeah, don't mix evil
Because
things,
the world
guys.
was falling apart.
Well, yeah, I think it's like it looks like the scene of an internal battle. Like everything is destroyed, and there probably is some level of attention paid to the door at times, where he's like there's. I feel like it's like a battle of resistance. Like there's slashing mattresses, like destroying the bed that he was lying in, and shattering whatever chairs are in the room. And then there's a brief moment where this other compulsion forces its way beyond his defenses, and he stabs at the door and punches it, and claws go through and then retract as he stumbles backward and slashes at the walls, trying to keep himself contained.
I want you to make a brawn roll.
Okay.
You're going to have 3 additional kept dice on this.
Oh, nice. Okay.
I don't know
What's
about
my-
nice.
Well, I don't know. It might be nice. That makes it okay. That makes it a 7. That's kind of crazy.
Han smash.
35.
Okay.
That's the first time you've rolled good.
Gerard knows this to be this is a solid oak door inside of a place that has been reinforced to resist a siege. Does that make sense? It is the door of the commanding officer, so it's designed to resist battering rams. It's designed, and he sees claws come out through one part, and then a fist come out through another, and the door fully ripped off of the hinges that are there, and the entire Wachtturm is like, "What the fuck is that?"
At that point, Gerard draws both weapons, yells without turning around, "Get out now!" and goes on guard.
Okay. So what I want from you is I wanted just a general assault roll and a defense roll. And I want the same from Hans. Your finesse is the same as normal Hans.
Okay.
And your highest attack rating is the equivalent of like what you'd be using now.
Okay.
I'm sorry, what am I rolling?
You're rolling both your finesse and your highest attack roll, and you're also rolling your wits and your highest defense now.
Got it.
Okay, so for me that'd be finesse and warrior then for the attack, and then
Yep.
just wits and defense. Okay. Finesse stays the same, so 6, 3. That's a 27 on the attack.
Okay.
And then, let's see here.
23 on my attack. Does my specialty add anything to the dice?
5.
It adds
And
5
then-
Yeah.
to the
Do,
total.
Okay.
sorry. Do you have a 3 in the knack or a 5?
I have
This is just your attack knack, like
My
your
attack knack?
warrior.
I have 5.
Okay, then you
Oh,
add a
wow.
plus 10 to it.
Damn.
Sorry?
Okay, yeah, I only have a 3, so that makes that's a 32 on the attack, and then a 34 on the defense with the plus 5 because I have 4 in defense right now.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I do have a 5 in the attack, so that was what?
No, you have a plus 10 on your attack if you have a 5 in the knack.
Okay, so that's going to be 33 on the attack.
Okay.
And if I add 3 for my parry, 28 on the defense.
You have a 3 in defense in your defense?
I have a 4 in my defense.
So
Okay.
you'll add a plus 5, not a plus 3. So
Oh,
that'll
plus
be a
five, so
30. Okay, so Hans's total attack roll is a 32, right?
Yeah, 32.
Okay. You're attacking with the equivalent of a heavy weapon, which is 3k2 plus your full brawn, which is an 8 right now. I believe. 'Cause you have a brawn of 5, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, no, I have a brawn of 4.
Okay, so
It's a
that'll
7.
be 7 plus the 3k2 of a heavy weapon. So now that still only becomes a keep 2.
Yeah. Okay, so 10 keep 2.
Gerard, what did your final attack roll was what?
30. Hold on, I'll go back up. 32.
Okay.
Rolled 23.
And Hans's defense is
I rolled 29 plus 5, 34. So I've got 4 dots in my defense.
on your keep 2, you're okay. It's a 34, and he got a 35. So Gerard does hit, and what he finds is that his weapon is not capable of harming Hans at the moment.
Whoa.
I'm not trying to harm him. I'm trying to literally
No,
deflect his blows. Just so you know.
Right. But I'm saying like he's drawing his blade across parts of him and stuff like that, and seeing that it simply like will not hurt him. Does that make sense? And he learns very quickly Gerard's attack, or that Hans' attack does hurt him.
Okay, so I have to roll that.
16.
16.
That's great. So roll your brawn against the target number of 16.
It's resolve for that, isn't it? For a wound
No,
check?
it's brawn for the flesh wounds, and then resolve to determine how many dramatic wounds you can take.
Oh.
All right. 9.
Oh no.
Okay, so you're taking a dramatic wound. So like how I'm translating that is like it's he, like blocks, slashes. There's an expert level of defense going on. Gerard is a master swordsman, so for Hans, like this is an extremely vexing assault. You know what I'm saying? Like in how long it takes him to actually kind of get a hold of him before he slams a shoulder into Gerard, and Gerard goes through a window on the second floor and finds himself in the street with Hans just leaping out of it by instinct straight after.
Am I conscious enough in the actual Hans mind? Am I conscious enough to get a dot of exploit weakness of his fighting style from this?
No.
Okay, that's perfectly fair. that is very understandable.
You can spar with him later. He might decline.
Yeah, that's also fair.
So you've taken his dramatic wound. You by rights should have struck him and done damage. Like Gerard is aware enough that like there is some supernatural protection on Hans, and he just like staying toe to toe with him will be a matter of attrition. Does that make sense?
Yep. It also falls into what my goal is, which is to lead him away from where he can do some serious damage to the people.
Out into the street?
Well,
there's nobody out in the street.
He didn't really mean to do that part, but
I didn't mean to go into the street, but now that I am, I know exactly where I need to take him.
Okay.
At this point, I adjust my fighting style from offensive to pure defense, parries, back steps, lightning reflexes, which will lower the cost of my defense dice.
And you also have several more panache than him, which means that you're going to be able to continually to backpedal and offer full defenses to every attack. So rather than roll that out, Gerard switching to full defense and stuff like that, the question is, where are you leading him?
One of the buildings that we've been using has a jail cell in the bottom of it with chains. I remember that what description. I cannot remember which one it is.
So there was a room that was being used by Charlotte to transport people for Porte, which had chains in it and also a basement that's sealed. That is in this
building
area.
is currently using. Oh no, it's not the house. Never mind.
So that is where I shall lead him. If I can get him there and get him away from people and caged, that is my goal.
Okay. So I want one more wits roll from you. And I will let you use your highest exploit weakness, Knack, at this point, because what you're doing is detecting a pattern.
Well, that would be my general exploit weakness for Valor roll.
Yep.
So add the two together, keep 3.
Yep.
$22.
Okay. So one of the things you discovered distinctly through this is that Hans naturally veers away from towards the tower. Whenever you're sort of like backpedaling towards the tower, he slows in his assault. He seems to try to figure out if there's like any other way to come at you. Does that make sense? Before committing
He's trying
himself.
not to get closer to that tower. Something from that tower is repelling him.
He does not like getting closer to it. And Hans, from your perspective, because you will remember this afterwards. Does that make sense?
No. That's just great.
The during the withdrawal, you remember getting closer to like the tower and moving towards it as being painful to you.
Okay.
You can force yourself to do it, and like everything feels painful at the moment, but that was a particular kind of it. So we're going to have a contested wits roll. Hans is having his wits after this roll.
Great.
Because you are a raging machine of...
Yeah. A bloodlusted monster, effectively.
I'm gonna drama dice my roll.
Okay.
Well,
that checks out.
No.
That checks out for the current state. I'm gonna leave that.
Sometimes it's good to have a real roll.
Yeah. No, yeah, I feel like a bad wits roll is appropriate right now.
There we go.
Oh no.
Mm.
You managed to beat it by virtue of the having.
I rolled ones in both sets. It's gonna happen.
You know, like you've done a few things to like trace your steps and find buildings and stuff like that, but it's a big district with a lot of buildings built next to each other and whatnot, and you're doing it backwards.
So
Like,
wait, my
I'm doing
my
it
wits.
backwards.
Oh, what is it?
I'm
Sorry,
doing
I just wanted to clarify the
backwards
wits
while
having thing.
while fending off this monstrosity, trying not to hurt him, trying not to get myself killed.
And in high heels because he's Montaigne.
um,
I'm not a
so
horse.
So what happens is you get to like the trap door that leads down to the basement, and manage to like stand in front of it, and Hans leaps, and you manage to like roll aside, and you hear him hit the stairway that leads down into that basement and completely obliterate it. Like it's a wooden rust, like it's a wooden older stairway. He takes it out completely, and then is left in the state of like he's trying to claw at the ceiling that he can't quite reach. Does that make sense? And even as strong as he is, he can't apply his strength while leaping into the air, kind of scrabbling. Now you hear like the trapdoor rattle again, but it's not in the same way of like that door coming off the hinges. It's you also hear it like scraping across the boards and whatnot. He does not seem to be settling down.
I've done everything I can do at the
I can
moment.
nerve
Like
you.
get somebody else to look at him.
You're able to find some like stuff to like put on top of the trapdoor, and probably find a guard who's heard all of the commotion outside and be like, if that starts to open.
It's not even going to be if that starts to open. My instructions to the guard is to find honoring cease to cease, Runa, and if possible Rosa, and get them here schnell.
Right.
I will
So-
guard the door.
All right. So we're cutting to Len, who, so you have met with Fischler and delivered a letter to him, a letter that he's surprisingly like not at his keep. He is in the field with his men. And it's the middle of the winter, and like they are across the border from where Siegler's armies are known to be. And they are doing things like digging palisades, preparing defenses. They're making it so that like Siegler's forces are going to have to come through their defenses, not just like roll into their farmlands. What is shocking is the amount of men that that Fischler has gathered under his command in the form of the militia. Like they're militiamen, they're not trained soldiers, but there are more than 100,000 here. And that is a lot more resistance than anybody expected Fischler to be able to put up.
God damn. Yeah. Len will try to find some place where he can not transform so openly. And shift back. And then step out. Falk.
Um, and Falk looks a little like nervous to see Len. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He says, "Is everything with Catherine all right?"
She's fine. It's a bit of a story there as well. I think he's gonna look around. Where do you want to talk? Because we have to cover some
I've
things,
got a
then I've got
tent.
to go back. Okay. Then we'll head over to the tent, and as soon as they're settled, he's not gonna wait for food or anything, even though he had a mouse or two on the way through, maybe a squirrel. But so like, all right, so the main reason I'm here is because I tracked a young Verschlingen to your lands.
He says the death snakes.
Yes. There are 4 of them. They've gone different ways, and one of them head your way.
2 of them came this way.
Or 2 of them came this way. I thought one hit the river and just kept going, or was that one of the
There
other
was one
ones?
that went that way, but one was going north and west.
Oh,
But
okay.
down the river, there were two that came towards the different like towns and cities in Fischler's lands.
I can give you kind of the path on a map, but I can't tell you exactly where they've ended up by this point. They've had time to go to ground. He'll point it out.
Says, I do not dare move my men from the front.
I know. But the least I can do is warn you. I can't fight it on my own, and the council can't come out this way. But I didn't want it to be a surprise. And hopefully, the towns themselves can rally some sort of defense before there's really time for the Verschlingen to dig in.
He says, can I ask you to offer warnings to them? He says, I can give you messages bearing my signet ring. I know you can travel faster than anyone.
Yeah, I can do that. Catherine went back to Asura. She has backup there, including the Phoenix herself. But she realized that if she's going to be the Gaius of Asura, she has to be there on the ground, as it were, fighting for her country. And she made that decision to do it.
She goes to fight against the Gaius without an army.
Yes, but the Gaius is not the Gaius. And she has some advantages he doesn't know of and probably won't learn of until it's too late for him. At least one can hope. See, besides that, you have a letter from Honorine. I didn't read it. I don't know what's going on in there. Hopefully it's good news. Yeah, she's my sister-in-law, so if it's anything lewd, don't share. And oh yeah, the White Plague is in Freeburg. I've been outside of it. I'm not a threat, but I know that there have been quarantines placed on the city for now. It doesn't appear to actually be the wasting sickness from the Verschlingen that we thought. So,
but they can do plenty of damage without such a sickness.
yes, they can.
Can I ask you to remain here long enough that I can read and draft a reply?
Yeah. I'm. I can use a quick snooze, and
he says the tea's a little cold. He says, but it's stewed.
I'll take it at this point.
Yeah, he drinks it himself and looks down and like sits over the letter. And
what's the letter say, Honorine? You gonna read it for us? Get that bonus XP.
It's
you can do that if you'd like.
Hey, hi, how are you doing? I hope your winter's as like dull as possible. It was I can read it. It's just meant to fill him in on all the things that we have going on in the city. I'm sure I forgot some.
Yeah, and he reads it. Len actually gets most of the sense of the letter because Fischler is not somebody who can read quietly. Like that's actually like not that unusual in this time period. Most people who read have to read aloud, because reading comprehension tends to come like later in life. So, and he was a peasant, so his letter is Len is going to get it like by byproduct. So, my dear Koenig Fischler, I write to inquire as to your health and to convey my regards. You're often in my thoughts as we hear scattered news of Eric Seeger's movements, and the Legion only knows what von Posen has gotten up to lately. As you'll have heard by now, plague has come to Freeburg. It is yet mild, but the winter is yet young. I have no skill at all with medicine and have no stomach for it besides, so I've busied myself with research and gathering as much information as possible. Schlammfresser make for very patient companions as I spend my hours in what solitude I can finding reading volumes of Bible script. I receive very little news of Fischler as late, which I hope to mean that the winter is yet dull for you. One can hope, at least in hope, on reading size to size.
Schlammfresser are the fish.
Okay.
I didn't remember the name of them, so
Um, and he seems very like touched by it. He says, "Happy memory of a later time." And he says, "If you'll give me some time to get a letter."
Yep, and you need to get the 2 warning letters too. So do you have somewhere for me to rack out for a little bit?
Take my cot. I won't be sleeping.
All right. Well, and he just flops, and in true soldier form, he's just out until it's time to not be awake again.
And he
Just gonna.
sees everything that happens to Rosa and the battle with the Unraveled. He sees her manifest and his friends like bravely fighting against it, taking lashes from the thing, and then the destruction of the book, and Rosa, pale as a ghost, looking thinner than ever before, but alive and through the worst of it. And the book, broken pieces of ice.
Nothing about the
And
dragons, though, right?
nothing about the dragons yet, but he did see also the moment of like the shield there. And from his perspective, what he saw was Matushka just standing there with a hand raised.
Nuh-uh. Not my grandkid. Fuck you.
Mhm. Yeah, there's a whole lot of prayers going up and prayers of thanks from Len for that.
And Matushka like just walks out of that moment and into darkness, and the entirety of it sort of recedes away until Matushka is the only thing there. And uh, she stands there before him, and there's ever been that difficulty in communicating between the two of them. She can't speak to him directly. Um, and the and Matushka reaches out and puts her hand on Lynn's shoulder. Um, and in a moment, he can see that thing that he saw before of himself fighting against the wolf and against, oh my God, this is a great time to just be spacing names. Koshe, fighting
Yep.
against Koshe. Um, and he sees like the wolf bury teeth into one arm and Koshe run a blade like through his chest. And he sees himself like falling and his blood darkening the snow. Um, and then she, there is a sense of like a choice for him. He has served her well, and she will save him, but there's something that she would like to ask of him instead. Um, and she sees he goes to like a time where he sees a Koshe that looks young. He has like all his hair. He's vital. Um, and Matushka she just like is emanating a kind of pain and loss. Like there's still a great mourning. And this Koshe is from like before the dawn of Numa. Does that make sense? Like they're literally like tribal Usurans that are out here. And Koshe is one of them. And Matushka looks at him and she sees in him that viperous betrayal that is core to part of his being. She sees his ambition. And for a moment, Len can see like that betrayal, that like fundamental sort of flaw of who he is as being what stands out to her because he sees the faces of the Fae, like the Fae that have betrayed her, the Thalassai that have turned against her, like the death of the other members of her race, one after another, to betrayal, to uprising, to ambition. And in Koshe, she sees a living reminder.
She kept him around to say, remember, I can be betrayed. Don't trust too much. He's a warning that she's kept at her side.
And he understands finally like the role that Koshi has played. And Len is like flashback to the moment. Like he can feel the spear that's gone through him, like realizing it's his own spear that Koshi took from him effortlessly. And like the bite of the wolf as it's like sniffing at his neck and kind of preparing for like final jugular bite. And then Koshi stumbles back and he looks sort of horrified. And his eyes have turned from like deep green to like a dull brown. And the wolf kind of like turns and looks suspicious. And as Len sees, he can see that part of the pattern that is Matushka that was inside of him has just been pulled from him. And Koshi is like bereft of like one of his greatest strengths. And then Len feels like Matushka fill him. And he watches as ice coats over his arms and his face. He feels like cold from the inside out cover and take him. And you realize that he is being taken and claimed by Matushka for the role that Koshi once held. That it's not just giving life, that he's making her she's making him her avatar in the world, the voice of Matushka, the one who will represent her to the people of Usura, and also in the protection of this world. And he sees like the statue of ice that Rosa saw in her vision, where she saw him as dying, right? And being taken by this, he sees as like a rebirth. Does that make sense? The ice cracks, he rises, he pulls the spear out of himself, and the wolf and Koshi like they backpedal. There's fear in both of their eyes. And he sees little flashes of moments of like being with Rosa as their child is born, and moments of like getting to see the first time the child like transforms into a bear, and kind of like growling and sniffing and stuff and like biting at him, and you know playing too rough with his claw or her claws and stuff like that. And also like the times that like her eye goes black and she sees the connections between things, between people. He's there for it. And then he has to go. There isn't a lifetime spent with the both of them. There's enough time.
Yeah. Yeah. And in the end, there's no other choice he can make. If he doesn't do this, they're going to die. Everyone he knows and loves is going to die. So, and let's be honest, he owes mom a lot. So yeah, he will don the mantle of Winter Night if that's what she asks.
She is not giving him that mantle yet. She's showing him the choice. And there's like an understanding, and he can feel that she wants, over the course of centuries, over the course of a millennia, like even the smallest resentments and fester. And her gaze kind of turns back towards the tower for a moment, and he's seeing it through her view. He's seeing it like as a column, like a prism, like as in the crystalline one, that rises into the air, and through every shade of color he can see a different world that is like all contained within this, and a different world that Matushka placed each of these different things in to protect them because she cares about them, and she knows ruin is striking at it. And there is a deep an abiding sadness and sympathy. Of all the creatures in the world, she understands Ruin's solitude in a way that nobody else can.
Yeah.
And she understands his desire for an end because she feels it herself. Len understands implicitly that his goddess, like, is ready to die. Not like for a cause, not for anything other than that she's just reached the end of her time and she knows it. But like what keeps her going is her concern for this world.
Yeah. And he knows her well enough, and he knows himself well enough to know that she can't rest until she knows that the world has new protectors, that the world will keep going. And as soon as she knows that, she's probably going to go to her well-deserved rest and to lay down her burdens and just stop.
And Len kind of knows that in the course of the choice made with Rose and stuff like that, there's nothing that says that he's not allowed to visit, he's not allowed to check on them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's nothing like that. There are requirements upon him, but increasingly it's the sight of like it's watching his beloved grow old that's painful when he does not. He is going to bear this mantle at least as long as Koschei has.
Yeah.
If he chooses to accept it at that time.
Yeah. No, he'll ruminate on it. He'll talk with others about it, but in his heart, he's already made the choice. In his heart, there
And
is no other choice. Not. Yeah.
and will when he wakes, there's like the letters there. There's the weight of all the things that, you know, he's learned. Like in a strange way, this is as much a herald of doom thing as anything else, but it's not. It's kind of making sense of much of what's happened to him.
Yeah. He was put on this path probably before he was even really conceived or born. And undoubtedly, he might not be the only one who, you know, was put through paces to see how they would react before a choice was made on Matrushka's end either.
And
So that's
it's possible it works that way. It's possible that just his choices when what happened to him happened were what raised him to her attention. Does that make sense? That it
yeah.
was the qualities of heroism as opposed to like a aforementioned destiny. Does
Yeah.
that make
No, that
sense?
completely makes sense. Len's, despite dating, being affianced to a fate witch, he's not actually. He tends to think that we make our own destinies, except sometimes when the gods reach out and just kind of go bloop and give us a
Um,
nudge.
and as he wakes in the tent with like the knowledge that like this is before him and that Rose has survived and there's like letters waiting, that's where we're going to drop the curtain is him preparing to return. And so we're going to mystically make everything that happened with Gav and the dragon stuff at the end because it's now like out of sequence. We're going to assume that that last part of it happened a day after Rose's sort of like fever breaking and as Len is on his way back to the city. And that's going to be where we like open up next time. Because apparently I've got a lucky knack for my cold opens now, just not fitting timeline.
When Kevin was doing cold
Runa would
opens
not.
for
Oh, sorry.
when Kevin was doing cold opens for Dark Side of the Decahedron, they just kept getting longer and longer and longer, and I think like the second to last session was just all cold open.
Yeah, we did. If I remember correctly, we introduced at the end.
Like, thanks, guys. We were this crew.
This wasn't
Yeah.
the longest cold open I've had though. Like,
No,
there's
it's
still
not.
been longer. So, all right. So we have role playing nominations.
Jesus.
Oh my
Oh.
god.
I think Rosa.
I was gonna say Gav.
Good God.
It's
Gerard for
Gerard.
that
Yeah.
badass fight.
That was good.
To just pick
Hans
two?
for having to go through.
Okay, all right. I've got a proposal. Gerard, Hans, Len, Rosa.
Everybody.
Just bonus
Here's the
XP for
thing,
this
I was really
session.
happy with this session with like coming to back with everybody like kind of where they were and stuff like that. So rather than give an RP reward this time, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give 5 for the session.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Plus drama
Oh.
die.
Plus drama die.
Thank you.
Also, just because I don't know if it got missed or if it was intentional, Runa has not rolled resolve,
Um,
and I just wanted to let you know in case that was not intentional.
that was not intentional. I would like Runa to roll resolve.
Okay,
I
I thought so, but I didn't
I
want
actually-
you to think you did.
actually want Gav and Gerard to both do so as well. You guys are both, I'm assuming, taking protective gear at this point because you are aware of like the plague. So you'll both get a +5 to your roll. You need to get a 20 to not contract. And Runa can do the same.
Do I get debuff by like my sorcery or anything? Like,
No,
does
not for
any
the
of that come into
contracting.
play?
That's it. That's
Okay.
just for like that first.
So it's just a flat resolve.
Once you catch it, that's when your sorcery goes. Eee.
Yeah.
So flat resolve +5.
Yes.
34.
I think Gav punched the
You're fine.
disease into remission. That was a 43.
Okay.
Oh.
Gav's like, I used to go down into the sewers, including not just the clean water side. I have an immune system made of Draconizen.
Oh. Oh no.
The disease gets Gav. Gav doesn't get the disease.
Okay. So Gerard is, unless you want to spend a drama die at this point for initial add and keep to it.
Yeah, let's do the drama die.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just
You said roll and add?
If you
Yeah,
spend a drama die, you
1K1.
can add 1K1.
What's the base difficulty like for a sorcerer?
It's just 20 also. Like
Okay,
it's the same
okay.
for contraction. Just
Okay,
after they get it,
makes
it's a lot
sense.
lot more likely to get worse.
There we go, 20.
yay.
Hey.
Oh, okay. So you did a full reroll. You only needed to keep 1 additional die.
Oh, well, the
But-
first die was a 4, but
Yeah, and the first die was a 4, so that would have done it. So we're fine.
Nice.
Yeah.
We'll make it work.
Okay. So
Having
I'm
5
gonna-
resolve comes in handy.
So we're fully 7 minutes after when I asked for the extra time, so I'm going to read this out real quick. Thank you for everyone watching us on YouTube or live on Twitch. Audience participation always means the world to us. And if you're on YouTube, smash the like, hit the subscribe, make a comment in the down below. Here at Dirty 20, we always send out with the same call to action. Be nice, be kind when you have the spoons, but even when you're not, be nice. Be nice to strangers, be nice to family, be nice to your loved ones, and be nice to yourself. Thank you for coming on this journey with us, and we will see you next week.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye.
Night.
Night, y'all.